from the Highway Patrol if anyone was hurt. Your sewer rates may be going up. The city says that is to help replace and improve what they say is an aging infrastructure, but they don't intend to go forward with it without input from people. So you are invited to bring your concerns to a meeting that'll be tonight at 6 at the Southwest Library on Ming Avenue. Another meeting is scheduled for tomorrow night at Ridgeview High School, and another is Thursday night at South High School. You may readily know the name Benjamin Nquanta, but for many people who have been in trouble with the law, he had been an important part of their defense. The longtime public defender has died, say his colleagues in the public defender's office. They did not say how he died.
The guy that died.
Known for his more than 2 decades of service and for helping defend his clients and their rights. It is still unknown whether Maya Hernandez will be tried again on a murder charge in the death of her 1-year-old son Emilio in a hot car. But people who positioned themselves outside the courthouse Monday believe she should have to face that charge again, reports KGET, citing comments from several protesters who believe she should have to face the jury after a mistrial on that charge last month. Another hearing is February 3rd. Filling up this afternoon, you'll pay about $4.18 on average for a gallon of regular, says Gas Buddy. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think, this is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get a post like this. Bada bing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, or however you may be viewing, for those subscribing on YouTube. This is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at KERNradio.com, and as I mentioned, broadcasting live on YouTube. We got a busy broadcast, an outstanding show. It's a Tuesday, so our former federal magistrate judge and former Kern County Counsel, Teresa Goldner, will join us at the bottom of the hour. We'll talk about a couple of topics. We'll obviously get into the Scrivener situation now that Sheriff Donnie Youngblood has officially come out, and the word is spreading through the television news. California hasn't picked it up yet, not to anybody's surprise, but the television stations have picked up our story that Mr. Youngblood came on and said Kathy Scrivener is lying when she claims she did not tell her grandchildren not to cooperate with law enforcement. You know some excerpts from our interview yesterday with the sheriff. We will get our former Kern County Counsel's thoughts on that. We'll also talk about the SCOTUS decision that is coming up in June. Jurists on the highest court in the land heard arguments today regarding transgender athletes and banning transgender athletes from participating in sports of which they are not biologically born to participate in. And Timothy Busfield, actor. You know, I told you guys yesterday, you know Timothy Busfield from 30-something, which Chris was not even, a sparkle in his dad's eye when that was on the air. And then I alluded to the other show that he did, West Wing. But one thing you've got to remember him from, because a film that I've never seen, I hate to admit, because I've started to watch it. I always thought it was an overrated movie. Field of Dreams. Have you not seen Field of Dreams, Mr. Burdick?
I do love Field of Dreams. And
Busfield is in that. He's the redheaded guy. I think he's the brother who was like the naysayer, who's like, what are you talking about? There's no field.
Yeah, it's like, you can't pull that out. I do remember him now, yeah.
That's Timothy Busfield, and he's married to, as I said yesterday, a young woman that I went to high school with, Melissa Gilbert. We didn't see much of her because at the time she was with Michael Landon, whose daughters and sons went to Buckley as well. But she was on Little House on the Prairie at the time. She ended up marrying Busfield much later in life, and she may also be implicated in this in some respects. We'll unpack that for you. And, of course, the big football news of the day, Mike Tomlin has stepped aside. I don't know what that means, and I don't think anybody does other than the ownership of the Steelers and Mr. Tomlin himself. He had an incredible career as the Steeler head coach, one of the few coaches perhaps in the history of the NFL never to have a losing record. And as I was just talking to Randy down the hall, and I'm not the first to say this, I heard Colin Cowherd say the very same thing this morning, but one of the most amazing things about his career is that he was making the playoffs with quarterbacks like Chris Burdick and Ralph Bailey and Mason Rudolph and an old Russ Wilson and an old Aaron Rodgers. And who am I leaving out? Kenny Pickett.
Yep.
And he was making playoffs with these guys. And Pickett, Rudolph, Fields don't even belong in the NFL, really, do they? Is Kenny Pickett still in the league?
He is. He's a backup, I believe, for Philly.
And
no, he's with the Raiders. I'm my fault. He's your backup.
See how much Raider football I've watched this year. Is he really?
Yeah, he's your backup. Played the last game,
Gino?
game and a half.
To Gino? Yeah. Wow, I did not know that. Where's Mason Rudolph?
Mason's in Pittsburgh.
He's still in Pittsburgh?
He left and came back.
Okay. Because Mason was the one, was it Myles Garrett that took the helmet and knocked him upside the head?
Yes, it is. That's the one thing he will be remembered for the rest of his career, is to be the guy that Myles Garrett took a helmet to.
Yeah. And instead of like going after Garrett, and don't get me wrong, I wouldn't go after Myles Garrett either, but he ended up embarrassing himself, looking like LeBron James. Like a dude took a helmet off of him and swung it at him. He hit him, didn't he?
Yeah, no, he hit him.
He hit him. And instead of being like, he turns to the refs and is like, and I'm like, dude just hit you in the head. You better go tackle that big. Not that I do it, don't get me wrong. I told you, big old yellow streak running down my back.
Mason's a big dude, though. Mason's a big guy.
And it's football. Yeah. You can't let a guy swing at you with a helmet.
No, got punk you like that.
No, exactly. Doing LeBron. Like, man, you better go punch him in the face and then run. Myles Garrett is a big. You ever see Myles Garrett without a shirt on?
Yes.
That dude is ridiculous.
Freak of nature.
Freak of nature. Well said. Freak of nature. And we've got some other stuff. I've got some audio. I found some audio. Did I send you the Terrence Smith audio?
Is that the girl in the sailboat? Yes.
The crazy woman that's trying to cross the Atlantic in a rowboat?
Yes.
We've got day 30. I think it's a couple of days behind, but we've got day 30 of her deal where she's alone and she's talking about how she's lonely and called her parents, and then she gets visited by a school of dolphins. Crazy. White people. Just saying. What'd you think? Have you seen it?
I watched the one you sent, and I haven't got a chance to actually dive into a lot of this, but good on her, I guess. This is different.
I guess. I want to know more about her.
Right.
Like, obviously, she was probably on crew in college.
I would think.
But what bug got up her, or what fish got up her butt? I'm going to cross the Atlantic in a rowboat.
Right. That's the thing that I always want to know is, like, what made you think this was a good idea?
Yeah.
I think it couldn't be a good idea, but what made you believe this was going to go swimmingly for you?
Nice turn of phrase.
Thank
nice. But we begin, obviously, with our story on Kathy Scrivener. I could not have been more wrong. And, when I watched on YouTube the current high school district board meeting, and again, I'm making a rookie error. Kathy Scrivener, for those two people that may not know, is the mother of Zach Scrivener. Zach Scrivener was involved in an incident where he allegedly inappropriately touched his daughter. He wasn't arrested. He was taken to Mary Kay Shell. The case was sent to the Attorney General's office because Zach Scrivener's aunt is the DA. They could not prosecute the case. They could not arraign Zach. So the case went to the Attorney General's office. The Attorney General's office, in my opinion, absolutely purposely botched the case. They mischarged charged him, did not charge him with a sexual charge. They charged him with child endangerment, fully knowing that that would provide a lane for him for mental diversion. Then they did not put forward a forensic psychologist that could have refuted the defense's H.A. Salas handpicked forensic psychologist. And then they sent down a neophyte attorney who had no chance against one of the best defense attorneys in the nation, no chance whatsoever. And then they pounded on the desk and screamed, why did you sentence him to mental diversion? Well, because you didn't refute their doctor and you didn't even charge him with a sexual case. Get out of my courtroom. This thing stinks of high heaven. Then we discover that Kathy Scrivener, Zach's mother and the sister of our district attorney, was present at the home the day of the incident in Tehachapi, and according to sheriff deputies, instructed her grandchildren not to speak to law enforcement. Ms. Scrivener, as I first said, made a horrendous mistake by trying to respond. She should have just gone away and not responded, but 17 hyped up the story and she responded and denied it. Well, in some respects, we really are Mayberry. We are a small town because everybody knows our sheriff. I lived in Los Angeles for half my life. I was a reporter there covering the cops beat, and I never met the LA County sheriff. You know what I'm saying? And we're on a first name basis. I have to catch myself on this show. I'll be like, and Donnie said, the sheriff said, we know Donnie Youngblood. And we know what kind of guy he is. And he stands up for his deputies. And what prompted him to put Kathy Scrivener on blast was the simple fact that Mrs. Scrivener was calling his deputies a liar. Because the deputies reported that to Donnie. And then he had to go back and look at the body cam, which was instigated by Mr. Flores asking for a public records of the body cam. He was the only one, including all the television stations, the Bakersfield, California, and J.R. Flores was the only person to ask for the body cam video. Then I asked and talked to Sheriff Youngblood, and he began quoting it. And I said, will you come on the program and say this? And he did. Here is some of what the sheriff heard on those body cam videos that Kathy Scrivener was alluding to in terms of instructing her grandchildren.
So I had my staff, I said, I want you to pull the body-worn camera. I do not want you to tell me what it says. I want to watch it myself. And I did, and there was absolutely no doubt in my mind that she did that.
I mean, there are direct quotes on that video of her instructing the children, correct?
Yes. She walked in when the two juvenile males were being interviewed, and she said, what's going on in here? You guys need to not say too much. Just keep quiet.
That is against the law. That is absolutely against the law, and it goes against everything that Kathy Scrivener has said. And all she had to do was call the Ralph Bailey Consulting Firm Incorporated, and I would have said, hello. Yes, Ms. Scrivener? You need some advice on what to say? Let me think about it for a second. Here goes. It was a chaotic situation in which my 4 grandchildren were traumatized. All I simply wanted to do was to defend my grandchildren, who were clearly going through a once-in-a-lifetime traumatic situation, and just get them out of the situation. That's all I wanted to do. I was not trying to deter them from answering any questions. I simply thought at this time was not a good time and wanted my grandchildren in a safe environment away from this incredible chaos. I'd bought that. Would y'all have bought that? Even if you believe, well, that's probably not the truth, but that's at least something you could work with. But completely denying that you said that and an incredible ignorance that you didn't realize that you were on body cam, she's in an absolutely untenable situation. When we come back, let's take our first break. When we come back, I'll tell you the mistake that I made in terms of yesterday's program. And we have more audio from Sheriff Donnie Youngblood from our interview yesterday, which you can still go back on YouTube and watch. It's received 400 views thus far. And J.R. Flores has done a great job. He's our internet expert because, you know, the old man. He was trying to explain it to me this morning. I was like, dude, forget about it. Forget about it. But he's placed some of the excerpts on Instagram, on Facebook, on our Kern Radio Facebook page, on his page. Now we're trying to figure out how to get it on my page. Then at the bottom of the hour, Teresa Goldner will join us. Does Title IX, created in 1972 to create equality for men and women's sports, apply with transgender athletes? We'll talk about that. We'll get her thoughts on the Kathy Scrivener situation. Our good friend Nick Ragone is going to join us at 4 o'clock. The PGA has new rules, and there's been a break in Live Golf and PGA. Brooks Koepka has returned, but under some strict guidelines, and others are seeking to return to the PGA. But the PGA is like, well, hang on a second, fellas. You took all that money. We're going to figure out how we'll get you back in here. Nick Ragone will explain that to us. And again, we'll investigate the Timothy Busfield situation. He has turned himself in after a warrant was served in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Can you spell Albuquerque? What's your best guess?
A-L-B-E.
No. A-L-B-E, Alba. Oh, maybe it is. No.
Al?
Alba.
So it is A. So
Alba.
A-L-B-A.
No, B-U.
B-U. Oh.
There are three U's. There are 3 U's in Albuquerque.
Oh, I was never going to get. I know there's a Q-U-E in there somewhere.
I think it's A-L-B-U-Q-U-R-Q-U-E. Albuquerque. I think that's right. Not the capital, however. What is the capital of New Mexico?
I honestly thought it was Albuquerque. I'm not going to lie to you.
No.
What is it?
Santa Fe.
Huh.
Place I've never been. I've been to Albuquerque. Never been to Santa Fe. Quick timeout. We're coming right back. More TRBS. Teresa Goldner in just a couple of minutes. Nick Ragone at the top of the hour. You're listening to the Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN, where we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM.
You got me?
Yeah.
You got KC right here? And then I also lied. I could not find the Title IX bite that you have. Michael Williams?
Yeah. Okay.
Fight isn't over, friends.
On
Back to the news of
MSNBC.
the day on the next Armstrong and Getty Show.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
KC Steakhouse is back open for business. They opened back last Thursday after the ladies got a little respite after they worked on Christmas Day and New Year's Eve. And it is popping. I've been in there twice since the holidays, and it still looks gorgeous. All the Christmas decorations are down, but Cassie Biddle loves decorating that restaurant, and she's got some beautiful Disney stuff up. And don't forget about the Stockyard next door. Perfect place for meetings, parties, election night events. It's got a beautiful banquet room. You can also have dinner in there, but I suggest at minimum you stop by and have one of their craft cocktails and just check out the joint and join Haley. And of course, Vanessa and Loudy are performing live music Thursday, Fridays, and Saturday nights. And Jimmy and Bobby are providing live music in the main restaurant Tuesday through Saturday. Where would you rather be than on F Street in the capable hands of Cassie Biddle's incredible staff at KC Steakhouse, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Pet stains on your carpet? Carpet Outlet Plus has everything you need to make your floors pet-proof. With over 100 in-stock waterproof floors, Carpet Outlet Plus can solve your pet problems for good. We also stock over 50 colors of pet-perfect carpet. Call, click, or come by today for your free in-home estimate. Don't forget, for the do-it-yourselfer, we also offer free next-day delivery on all qualifying stock floors. And as a bonus, go to carpetoutletplus.com and apply for 12 months no-interest financing. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. That's 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What is it for? 842-5376, 842-KERN. Of course, the Corn Radio Studios are powered by Adaptive Networks. For all your IT needs, call Adaptive Networks at 661-241-0638 or online at adaptive-net.com. The one error I made, and I think subconsciously this was ego, I predicted that the Kern High School District Board meeting would be filled with people in response to what was going on. And I didn't realize or didn't think about the fact that this thing blew up at about 6 o'clock last night when 17 led with it at 6 o'clock. They reran it at 11. I think it was the second story on the 5 o'clock show this morning, and they led with it at noon. 23 has picked up the story, and they're also running with it. So now the community is beginning to hear that Donnie Youngblood, that Sheriff Youngblood, came on our broadcast and said, Kathy Scrivener is lying, flat out. And they have video, audio proof of it. I assume by 6 o'clock last night, everybody would know about it. I don't know how I made the connection. I can't compare my significant audience to a television audience. So, and I had two people say this to me, and I said, I thought the same thing, and I agree with you. Next high school board meeting, I think you're going to see some people, because last night it was dominated by transgender issues, which I don't understand how that's, the Supreme Court is dealing with that. The current high school district board is not going to deal with that. This is going to be settled by the United States Supreme Court. And we're about to talk about that with Teresa Goldner here in just a matter of minutes. The other issue they're talking about is the damn 10 Commandments, which, and there's this, and really, I should have covered the board meeting, because the board meeting, beyond them excoriating Kathy Scrivener, was fascinating, because John Hart has become one of the most bizarre men in our community, in my opinion. John Hart was will always be a well-respected photojournalist. He's got a photograph that is immortal, that journalism students have to study. It's a picture of a family mourning the death of their child who they just fished out of the Kern River. And it's literally the entire family in the picture. And their faces are all just absolutely distraught, obviously. And it's really, did you have to study that, Chris?
I did.
Yeah. It's one of the most iconic journalism pictures in many a moon. But since that, and how he taught at BC and Cal State with a master's degree is whatever. Because whatever. But he's got this thing for our good friend Angelo Frazier. They're on opposite sides. Obviously, Angelo believes that the Ten Commandments should be in our classrooms. John Hart vehemently disagrees with that, which is fine. But he went on this personal just vendetta against Angelo, calling him a camera hog. Any news show, you see him in the shot, which isn't inaccurate, but I don't think it's done out of his narcissistic desire to be on television. Angelo is just one of those people that tries to be a game changer in our community. And he is at a lot of events, and he does show up on television. But why Hart felt it was personal to attack him, I'll never understand. It's a Tuesday. Teresa Goldner joins us next.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The Supreme Court seems likely to uphold state laws barring boys and men from playing on girls' and women's school athletic teams. Lower courts ruled for the transgender athletes in Idaho and West Virginia who challenged the state bans, but the conservative-dominated Supreme Court gave no indication after more than 3 hours of arguments Tuesday that it would follow suit. Activists say the death toll from nationwide protests in Iran has surpassed 2,000 people. This level of violence around protests hasn't been seen in Iran in decades. The U.S.-based human rights activist news agency, which has been accurate in previous unrest in recent years, gave the latest toll. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 398 points. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. Traffic on Highway 58 near the Mount Vernon Avenue off-ramp was shut down for hours this morning because of a truck fire where a load of ice cream and the truck both burned, which the Highway Patrol says necessitated the closure. Longtime Kern County Public Defender Benjamin Naquanta has died, according to his co-workers at the Public Defender's Office. They did not say how he died. He had been with that office since 2002. People protesting outside the courthouse Monday told KGET-TV that they believe Maya Hernandez should have to face another jury on a murder charge in the death of her one-year-old son Emilio after her mistrial last year. A decision may be reached on that in the next couple of weeks. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with the news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated with Crohn's or ulcerative colitis. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with a friend, Dr. Vip Dev. John Cox from the Californian will join us to administer the news quiz. I will crush said news quiz. We'll back all it up with state-of-the-art news, traffic, and weather, 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and streaming live on a World Wide Web at kernradio.com.
Well, First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The Charlie Kirk Show, weekdays at 6 p.m. on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
It's a Tuesday, which if you were a subscriber, along with the other 530 on YouTube, you could see the lovely and talented former Kern County Council and former federal magistrate Judge Teresa Goldner is live in studio. How are you?
I'm doing great, Ralph. How are you doing today?
I'm outstanding. Looking very judge-like in your black.
Well, I'm going to a lawyer event tonight.
Oh, really?
I'm going to Tom Fair, who is an attorney here in town, is hosting a dinner for all the past presidents of the Kern County Bar Association.
You were president of the Bar Association.
I was.
I did not know that.
And I can't remember what year it was, way back when, but yeah.
Wow.
Sure. Yeah, it was really
That's
fun.
impressive.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
What are the responsibilities of the president of the Bar Association?
To make sure that we have meetings, to make sure to try to keep as much membership as you can and grow the membership. And when you have meetings, have educational opportunities for the lawyers and just be a resource for lawyers and to advocate for lawyers in the community.
Why would a lawyer not be a member of the local bar association?
Well, a lot of times government lawyers don't like to, or typically wouldn't join. It costs money to join. And sometimes their agencies won't pay the fee, for them to join it. I don't know what the fee is now. I know I'm a member, but I can't remember what the fee is.
Yeah.
Or I think I'm a member. Oops, I should be a member. If I'm not, I'll join now.
Right. Pay your dues.
But normally it's a lot of camaraderie, and professionalism. And the Bar Association does do mandatory continuing legal education classes and get speakers in and that kind of stuff. When I was president, my favorite thing that we did was we had a lawyers league, softball league. And so we all used to play softball against each other. And that was really fun.
Yeah. Yeah,
that was my favorite thing.
We used to do that in the media.
Yeah.
We used to have media teams that would play the other radio stations and some of the TV stations.
Did you play up for your team?
I did. This was
what team were you on?
Years ago. Well, I was working at Buckley Radio at the time.
Nice.
And we would play some of the TV stations. And
did you guys do pretty good?
We had a really good team. We had this kid named Chris Nelson who could step up and hit a softball out of a ballpark every time he came to play.
Was he a ringer that somebody brought on the team?
No, he was. In fact, he was part of a wife and husband couple on our soccer mom station, and they both got a gig. They are in St. George, Utah, right now.
Wow, that's
really
impressive.
Good kid. Really
How
good
nice.
kid. Oh yeah.
What position did you play on your team?
I played third base.
Okay.
I played third base, and there's the classic story of one of our softball games. We had one of our sales ladies pitching, and I won't give away the guy who made the immortal comment. I won't give out his name.
About her pitching skills?
No. But
about her body?
No. Let me tell the story.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to name the guy that said it. Nate Wigg. He's a very good friend of mine.
Is he still around?
Oh yeah, I saw Nate at our bartending event at the fairgrounds. Great guy. He and his wife were both salespeople. In fact, that's where they met at Buckley Radio, and I'm friends with both of them. So this young woman, I really won't name her, is pitching, and she gets hit right in the mug with
terrible.
a baseball, and she's lying on the ground, and she lost her front teeth, and she's bleeding profusely.
Goodness. Sounds like she needed a lawyer.
Oh, and we're all standing around and just like in horror, and Nate pokes me in the ribs and says, "Does this mean we forfeit?" I'm like, "Nate, she's lying on the ground bleeding. What's the matter with you?" But I always thought,
of course we forfeit. We're stopping the game right now.
There's an ambulance on the way, Nate. I think the game's over.
That's terrible. I feel bad.
Funny.
Well, I played first base on our
Really?
I played first base in high school. I love playing first base.
Well, you must have good eye-hand coordination.
I think I used to a long time ago.
That is a pivotal position.
I love playing first base, mainly because I have long legs and I could stretch.
Yeah.
keep your foot on the base, but also stretch and catch the ball.
I played first
Worked out
base a year, my freshman year,
Wow.
playing varsity baseball.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good. I tried out for the.
I have really good eye-hand coordination.
Still?
I can catch anything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I really can.
I tried out for the San Diego State women's softball team. I thought I was going to be a really good player.
Yeah.
And I got there and I realized they're just way out of my league.
That's my only frustration at the 2 years that I spent at Cal State Bakersfield. I was still young. I was 29 years old. And I think had they had a baseball program at the time, I think I could have made it. I really
wouldn't
do.
that have been fun?
It really would have been fun.
Baseball's so much fun.
I know. I was really excited. When I first put my arms around that I was coming to Bakersfield, I was going to go back to school at the age of 28, 29. I was like, I'm going out for the baseball team. And I was like, what do you
don't have one?
What do you mean you don't have a program?
You should have checked that out.
I understand not having a football team because that's insurance and 53 guys and pads and blah, blah, blah. But you don't have a baseball program?
You should have done some
Broke my
research
heart.
before you transferred to Cal State, Ralph.
Well, I was not in a position to negotiate at the
Okay.
time. I was 28 years old without a degree, and my dad was living here and gave me a second opportunity. So I was not in a position to say no. And I almost did. That's how stupid I was.
Well, it's probably better that you didn't play, even if they had one, because you had to focus on your studies.
Yeah, I spent the time. I was the managing editor of the newspaper
Wow.
for
Of the
a
Cal
year and a
State
half. Yeah,
Newspaper? What's the name of that newspaper?
the Roadrunner.
It's still called the Roadrunner?
The Roadrunner. And I still say it is the single greatest staff in the history of CSUB.
The year that you did it.
The 2 years the year and a half that I was on it.
What 2 years?
Stephen
were
Mayer,
those?
92, 93, 94. Stephen Mayer
Wow.
was one of the staff writers. He's still a staff writer for the Californian. Bob Christie was on the staff. Bob went on, graduated, became a city editor at the Californian. Amber Chang was on that staff. She's been a longtime spokesman for Bakersfield College. There's another girl I can't remember who became a producer at Channel 23 that I worked with.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it was a pretty impressive
That's
staff.
really great.
It really was. It
Wow.
really, truly was.
My
And
hu-
of course, there was me.
And of course, and you were the editor, right?
I was. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
My husband Barry was the editor of our UCLA Law School newspaper.
Yeah, the Bruin.
And it wasn't called the law school newspaper wasn't called the Bruin. It was called something else. I can't remember the name of it, but he used to use that to meet women. That's how I used
Really?
He used to go and ask all the really pretty girls to join the staff of the newspaper. And he had an office, and they would come in the office and hang around. And I think that's how he got dates when he was in law school. He's probably going to not be happy with me
No,
for
he's
saying
not.
that.
He's not going to be happy. There's going to be a
But
fight in the house tonight.
But he did get a lot of attention from females when he was the editor. Was that true for you too?
I did a similar thing. I did a similar thing. We had a section in the paper where it was dedicated to students' comments, where we would assign somebody to go out with a camera, take a picture of the student, and say, "What do you think of the Supreme Court's decision on transgender athletes?"
Well, that's
And we would print like a paragraph of what they said, and we'd have like a panel of 4 different students. We'd have different paragraphs of the students. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do that. And so I would go.
What was your criteria?
They'd have to be a 9 or a 10, Teresa. And then I'd get a couple of guys just to make it look legitimate.
Oh, you're
but,
bad.
I would definitely use that as I'm Ralph Bailey. I'm the managing editor of the newspaper. How are you? What's your name? Teresa. Nice to meet you, Teresa.
Did you get their phone number so you could verify the information?
What's the whole point, Teresa? What's the whole point? Of course I got their numbers.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah,
Did you ever get a single date from doing that? You
Yes.
did.
Yes.
Ralph Bailey, you
I was
were a
29.
dog.
I was a cute kid. I was 29, managing editor of the paper. Damn right, I got a lot. I was a despicable human being.
So you and
in
my husband
20s.
have a lot in common.
Yes, yes. Most men in their youth are pretty despicable people until they meet their one, like you, and that settles them down. That's how it works, in my opinion.
I like that.
I was never able to settle down, unfortunately. All right, we got to get to work. We got to get to work.
Okay,
We got
well,
to
that
get to
was
work.
really fun. I learned something about you. I didn't know that.
Yeah. What? That I was a
Yeah.
despicable human being in my 20s?
No. That you were an editor of the paper at Cal State. That's
Yeah.
very cool. Oops. Sorry, I thought I turned that off.
Oh, that's why you do love that song. That's your theme song.
I do like that.
Is that your husband?
That's my daughter. That's my daughter. She's
Oh.
calling from.
Oh, you should have put her on the air.
You want me to?
Yeah, put her on the
Let me
air.
see. Oh, I just cut her off. Sorry.
It's okay.
I will. She's probably whenever she walks home from work.
6:40.
She calls me. Yeah, so it's 3:40.
Yeah,
Oh,
6:40.
She must not be walking home from work. It's too early.
Yeah.
So, oh no, it's 6:40 there. You're right. She's
Mhm.
walking home from work.
Yeah.
She calls me on the way home.
Nice.
She tells me about her day and what she's been working on and all
Doesn't
that kind
make
of
you
stuff.
nervous at work walking home in New York?
No, gosh, no,
Yeah.
not at all.
That make me nervous.
She's when she went to Fordham as an undergraduate, and
You
then she
told
went
us
there
that.
for law school. Fordham is not in the nicest area. The law school's in a nice area in Manhattan, but the undergraduate school is not in that nice of an area.
Yeah.
And I used to get a little nervous about that when she would walk around, but she never had any problems.
Good for her. All right, let's get into this Kathy Scrivener situation.
Okay.
We had Sheriff Donnie Youngblood on the program yesterday, and he basically said, based on the body cam video that he's examined, Kathy Scrivener lied when she denied telling her grandchildren not to cooperate with law enforcement. My first question is, could there be charges against her? And where would they come from? They can't come from her sister, who is the DA.
Well, someone else would have to bring them. It would be the Attorney General's office if that was going to happen.
And we know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and it's
they're incompetent.
But you gave me a heads up that we might talk about this. So I did look up the laws on obstruction, and we're talking about obstruction of justice. And what is the legal definition of that? And it means to interfere with, delay, or hinder law enforcement officers, emergency personnel, or other judicial processes in the performance of their duties.
Which is not only important in this case,
yes,
but and I don't want to get off the freeway, but it's also important in the Minneapolis case as well.
Yes.
Because that's exactly what Renee Good was involved in.
That's the reason why she was there.
Exactly.
That was her whole
purpose.
entire purpose.
Yes, as part of Ice Watch. But anyway, back to
but there's what's really interesting about the obstruction of justice is there's no single definition of it in one particular statute. There's not like a penal code section that says obstruction of justice.
Right.
Instead, it comes from a whole bunch of different statutes. But the closest kind of definition that you have comes from Penal Code Section 148A1, which means it's illegal to willfully resist, delay, or obstruct a public officer while they are discharging or attempting to discharge their duties. And but a violation of that typically is just a misdemeanor, and it's up to a year in the county jail or $1,000 fine. But then there's a whole bevy of other statutes, that talk about what could possibly be obstruction, and none of them really apply here, except for there's one Penal Code Section 136.1, which says it's obstruction of justice. It's obstruction to intimidate or dissuade a witness or a victim from testifying or reporting a crime. If you think that falls within that category, then it's possible. It's possible.
Is there any other punishment for lying about it?
For lying to an officer? Well, that would be obstruction of justice too. If you lie to a police officer or a peace officer, you're obstructing justice by doing that. So, but not, when you talk to a police officer, you're not under penalty of perjury, so you wouldn't be prosecuted for that. But you could certainly be, theoretically prosecuted for obstructing justice if it comes under that category. So that's what I think.
Are you shocked that she would make such an error?
Well, she says she didn't do it, right?
Right.
She's never said she did it. Hasn't she said just the opposite?
Yes.
So,
and that's the point, that the sheriff has her on video and audio saying just be quiet, among other things.
Okay. Well, do you think that falls within the category of those things under the statute?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well,
and as I said earlier, had she called me, I would have given her some great advice and just said, look, it was a chaotic situation. I wanted my grandkids to be safe. I just didn't think it was an appropriate time for law enforcement to grill 4 of my grandchildren who just went through arguably or maybe irrefutably the most chaotic, traumatic thing that's ever happened to them. I was just defending my babies. I wasn't trying to obstruct justice, but instead she absolutely went out and put Donnie in the precarious position where he had to defend his guys. Because if Donnie doesn't say anything, the community thinks that his deputies are lying on Kathy Scrivener, when in fact, we now know Kathy Scrivener was lying on these deputies.
Well, you just raised something that can be a defense to an obstruction of justice charge, and that is lack of intent. If she never intended to obstruct justice, she just wanted to help her babies, as you said, maybe that would be a legitimate defense to a allegation that she obstructed justice.
Yeah.
And another one would be, sometimes people claim it was protected speech under the First Amendment. That can also be a defense to obstruction of justice. And there you go. So there's defenses to it. It's not like she doesn't have any defenses, but
isn't the reality? Nothing's going to happen of it.
I would be surprised.
I think it's ruined all Scrivener political futures, including our DA.
I hope that that's not true.
But do you think you really think Cynthia Zimmer could win an election now?
I do. I do.
Really?
I know you and I feel differently about this, but I really like Cynthia Zimmer.
I do too.
I think she's a great DA.
I spent 5 minutes yesterday talking about me getting sucker punched in Casey's Steakhouse, my jaw getting broken, got hit twice, and the amazing job the DA's office, including Cynthia Zimmer and my personal advocate, Tristan O'Neill, the incredible job they did. I went on and said, I will never be able to repay them. They went out of their way to help me. They went out of their way to find the guy. He did 2 years in jail. I will be forever in her debt. But I can't come on here and lie and tell people that I think that, she's going to win when I think she's been maybe wrongfully tainted through this whole thing because the sheriff has come on and completely.
Are you walking it back a little bit now?
Her being defeated?
Yes.
No way. No way.
I thought Sheriff Youngblood came in and talked to you and said that she did not do anything wrong.
He absolutely
did. And he
did.
was very clear about that.
1,000%.
So why do you think she could not be reelected?
Because I still think a lot of people, including myself, feel that she should have never picked up that phone and called Donnie Youngblood. Despite the fact that Donnie admits a lot of people call him, that the call would have eventually come back to him likely. I still think as a DA, you got to play it by the numbers and you've got to call 911. And there's this other fact.
I got to ask. I just have to say something.
Yeah.
I don't know any lawyer worth their salt that would, if they were going to help somebody out on to defend them or try to not get them charged with a crime, and that knows the sheriff, that wouldn't pick up the phone and call the sheriff. Really? I don't know anybody that wouldn't do that. Seriously. So I don't think it was wrong of her to call him in the first place. And the sheriff has said she didn't ask him to do anything wrong. And I think that the facts speak for themselves. I think that she is reelectable. And in fact, if she runs for reelection, I plan on voting for her.
Ooh, that's a good question. Now, that's a good question. Would I vote for her?
Knowing that she didn't do anything wrong. She didn't ask him to do anything wrong. She just picked up the phone and she was concerned about her nephew. Oh, ding, ding, ding.
It would depend on who's running against her.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. I'm so confused. I just think the whole thing stinks to high heaven.
Well,
I just think the whole thing stinks to high heaven.
The optics are not good.
Yeah.
That's kind of an understatement.
And I think that's the perception. And I think, as I've said, I've been here 32 years. I've never seen this community on one side of one issue in terms of they're feeling that her nephew got a pass. And believe me, I've been blue in the face trying to explain to my audience, look, this has nothing to do with Kern County.
It doesn't.
The fault lies in Sacramento in the AG's office. I don't think this community believes that, though, Terry.
It has to do with the Attorney General's office not doing their job.
Nope.
Not being competent in the way that they prosecuted that case. We don't know why they filed the charges that they did, but that's their prosecutorial discretion to decide what they want to charge and even who they want to charge. But I think the real fault lies with the law itself. The mental diversion statute is so broad and it keeps expanding. I mean, it has expanded tremendously since it was first enacted. And personally, I think it's a ridiculous law. I think they should repeal the law. But, right now there's so many, we talked about it earlier, there's so many loopholes in that law. You really could drive a truck through it.
Yeah.
And, the thought that, not all somebody has to do, but what someone has to do is have enough money and have enough resources to hire a psychiatrist or a psychologist to say that they suffer from a mental condition, and that mental condition was a significant factor in causing them to do the conduct that allegedly constituted a crime. That's all it takes. That is all it takes. And when all the judge has in front of her is that, what else is she going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, she did have the choice to disregard whatever that testimony was. But you and I, we haven't read that report.
True.
We don't know what that doctor, that medical professional said in his report. Maybe it was very, very persuasive. And maybe she would have felt, it would have been an abuse of her discretion to ignore it.
And which again gets back to the AG's office, why the thing that I've been screaming for weeks,
yes,
they didn't provide a forensic psychologist to rebut H.A. Sala's guy.
And that's something
that's crazy.
That's something that our community and members of our public, we're never going to know that.
Never going to know
because that, of course, is something that's privileged information, and they probably will never disclose.
Never ever. That's right. In fact, I'll even go further. I think unfairly, this whole thing could taint Christina Scrivener's political career.
Why?
Because she's a Scrivener. I think she's still using the Scrivener last name. I don't think that people are as engaged as we are. I don't think the general voting public are as engaged as my audience.
Well, that's a good thing.
And I think all they'll hear is Scrivener's name, and they'll be like, no.
Well, but they'll, what is it? Today's newspaper is tomorrow's birdcage liner.
True that.
Isn't that
we do have a short attention span.
Wasn't there a quote like that? I forget where that came from, but I remember that.
It's about our short attention span.
I think that personally, I hate to see how this has really been blown up out of proportion. It really has to do with a lousy law.
Yeah.
And Mr. Scrivener and his lawyer, Mr. Sala, who's an excellent lawyer, they took advantage of the law that exists on the books.
Yeah.
It's just like people that, if you want to say, I don't like it when people don't pay the full amount of taxes. Well, if there's a lot of, exceptions to the tax law that allow somebody to pay less than 100% of taxes and they take advantage of it, is that the wrong thing to do?
It was one of the greatest episodes in the Trump-Hillary Clinton debate.
That's right.
Where Hillary accused him of not paying taxes, and Trump turned around.
Tax evasion.
Yeah, and Trump turned around and said, I did it because I'm smart.
Right.
I'm smart. I used the laws. You were in the Senate. You could have changed the laws, but you didn't. You know why you didn't? Because all your friends do exactly what I did.
Right.
I was like, go, Donald. Go, my friend. That was one of the great moments of the debate.
There's a big difference between tax evasion and tax avoidance.
Exactly.
And
who doesn't want to avoid taxes?
Right. And who wouldn't want to avoid going to jail?
Exactly. I only got a couple of minutes. Let's get into the SCOTUS decision.
Oh, yes.
That won't come down till June, I'm told. But they heard arguments today, and everyone, including the New York Times, is reporting, and not that this is, oh my God, shocking news, but they say that the judges are leaning towards the ban ban on transgender athletes performing.
I think they are. I really do. And I think that, the reason that they're there today, they were there for two reasons. One, in the Idaho case.
Idaho and West Virginia.
Right. They were saying that it's a violation of equal protection under the 14th Amendment, which basically says that you treat similarly situated people. A law has to treat, when the legislature draws lines that distinguish between people, they have to treat similarly situated people similarly.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying that you are treating transgender athletes differently. But the justices really pushed back on that, especially Alito and especially the chief judge, because they were saying, look, you're talking about somebody being discriminated against and someone being treated differently on the basis of sex. So how are we going to have an operational definition of sex? And why isn't it biological sex? Let's let it reflect reality and not just some kind of social construct of gender identity.
Exactly.
And so I thought that Alito was really strong on that. I thought the Chief Justice was strong on that. I thought Kavanaugh was good on that too. I think that's where it's going to come down on, because otherwise, how can you say that someone is being discriminated against based on their sex if you can't define what sex is?
Yeah.
And what are you going to say?
And where are we in 2026 that we can't define what a woman and what a man is?
That's right. And it's interesting because the one who was kind of pushing back the most on that notion was Justice Ketanji.
Well, of course she was, because even in her confirmation, she was simply asked, what is a woman? And she couldn't define it.
Well, she said
she should have never been allowed on the court.
She said she would have to defer to the physicians, right? The doctors.
Yeah.
Well, as a matter of fact, in this case, they did have all kinds of declarations and evidence from doctors defining what sex is, and that it's biological. It's a biological sex. So I think
we had to bring in doctors to tell us what a man and a woman is.
I
Good
think we're
googly
gonna, I think
moogly.
we're going to get back to reality and
Yeah.
common sense, at least on this case.
Yeah.
But remember, there's 27 states that ban
29.
it. Is it? I thought it was 27.
29.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you positive?
Absolutely.
Ooh.
I would not correct you,
In
Judge.
in the in
if I
the
didn't know
in
I
the
was right.
arguments, they said it was 27.
Is it 29, Chris? Oh, I thought you were shaking your head. Yes. I'm pretty
I
sure.
thought it was
no, I'm sorry, I was
27
shaking my
that
head
ban it
yes
and
about it.
23 that allow it. Or maybe it's the other way around, but it's pretty much half and half
Right.
between the states.
Right.
And one of the things that I think Justice Kavanaugh was saying was, hey, look, it's about half the country lets them, in and to be on girls and women's sports. The other half says no. Why don't we just leave it the way it is, and let the ones that want to ban it, let the ones that don't want to ban
Yeah.
it, live and let live.
I rarely give our state compliments because I think it's incredibly poorly run, but I think California has reached just about the best compromise that I've seen in this whole thing, where they're allowing transgender. Okay, so I'm a transgender athlete and I'm going up against Teresa Goldner, and I beat you in the 100-yard dash and you finished second. What the state of California has now done, the CIF has now done, is I get rewarded, but so do you. You are still recognized as the winner, as am I. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
They're saying that.
So you get a medal and I get a medal.
Yes, which is
Well, I think
a
that's-
weak compromise.
I think that's a silly
I do.
compromise.
Well, it's as close as best as we've come.
One last thing I want to say, if we
Quick, we've
still
got
have
about 30
time.
seconds.
Okay. The whole purpose behind this law, ostensibly, is to protect female athletes.
Exactly.
That's
the
what
girl
it's
who
about.
gets left off the team because Ralph Bailey, who thinks he's Ralphina, is on the club.
And
I gotta fly. Okay. I'm out of time. I'm so sorry. Teresa Goldner, everybody. That was great. That was great.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
Hour from Town Hall, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. In remarks to the Detroit Economic Club, President Trump says Iranians should keep protesting against those trying to keep them down.
I say save their names because they pay a very big price. And I've canceled all meetings with the Iranian officials until the senseless killing of protesters stops. And all I say to them is help is on its way. You saw that I put tariffs on anybody doing business with Iran.
The death toll from nationwide protests in Iran surpassed 2,000 people on Tuesday as Iranians made phone calls abroad for the first time in days after authorities severed communications during the crackdown on demonstrators. It's day 2 of the nurses' strike in New York City, affecting 3 major hospitals.
Nancy Hagan, president of the New York State Nurses Association, says none of the hospitals have agreed to additional bargaining sessions since Sunday.
We are ready to
party.
We are ready to care for our patients.
The strike involves 15,000 nurses, including Roy Permore.
We're out here to stand as long as we need to get a better contract, a fair contract. It's about health care. Health insurance for the nurses. It's about safety.
The private nonprofit hospitals have brought in replacement nurses. Julie Walker, New York.
A top Justice Department official says there is not currently any basis to open a criminal civil rights investigation into the killing of a woman by a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officer in Minneapolis. The decision to keep the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division out of the investigation into the fatal shooting of Renee Good marks a sharp departure from past administrations. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 398 points, the Nasdaq dropped 24, the S&P lower by 13. More at townhall.com.
I'll turn my mic off.
What if 2026 could be the best year ever for your retirement? It can when you take control of your financial future with physical precious metals. Call Advantage Gold at 800-741-GOLD now to get your free gold and silver rollover kit, a $49 value just for calling. More Americans than ever are discovering the power of rolling over a portion of their IRA or 401k into physical gold and silver. With a simple, tax and penalty-free rollover, you can add stability, security, and strength to your retirement. In times of inflation, uncertainty, or market swings, gold has been a steady, tangible, proven store of value. And in 2026, it could be the key to building the retirement you've always imagined. That's why so many people trust Advantage Gold, the #1 rated gold IRA company in America for 10 years running. Call 800-741-GOLD to get your free gold rollover kit. Call 800-741-GOLD. Consult your financial advisor before
before investing. Call 800-741-4653 now. That's 800-741-GOLD.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
A lot of melted milk product. I'm Chris Davis. If you happen to be out on Highway 58 and met with closed lanes this morning, that all had to do with a vehicle fire and a lot of melted ice cream. That's because a big truck carrying ice cream caught fire on 58 near the Mount Vernon Avenue off-ramp about 2:15 this morning, according to the Highway Patrol. It was not clear if anybody was hurt, but the resulting mess, a burned truck and the ice cream, had the highway shut down for hours. Whether you agreed with the decision Monday to postpone the decision on whether Maya Hernandez should be tried again for murder in the hot car death of her one-year-old son Emilio, many people outside the courthouse did not, reports KGET. Many of those people who talked with the TV station say they are ready to see her face another jury on a charge that she knew the hot car was dangerous and left the two brothers in there anyway. February 3rd is the next hearing and possibly her sentencing on the charge of child endangerment for which she was convicted. A longtime public defender in Kern County has died. That office announced the death of Benjamin Nquanta Monday, but did not give a cause for his death. He joined the public defender's office in 2002 and was known for his abilities in defending his clients, defending their rights, and in his ability to get favorable outcomes for people who might otherwise have been unable to get an adequate defense. If you have questions about the possible sewer rate increase where you could be paying more on your monthly bill in return for sewer improvements, the city has a meeting scheduled to both answer questions and get input from the people who will be affected. The next one is tonight at 6 at the Southwest Library on Ming Avenue. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think? This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get up close like this. Bada bing! You blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1
All right, thanks, Teresa. Have fun tonight.
KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Tuesday, 13th day of January. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN, where we're streaming live at kernradio.com. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll talk more about the SCOTUS decision coming up in June. The judges, as we just discussed, listen to arguments about transgender athletes. Talk about that and its impact, or Title IX's impact on the judge's decision. Coming up at 5, we'll talk about Timothy Busfield, the one-time star of 30-something for folks my age, and ER. And for most of you, I think it's a much overrated movie, but he was also in Field of Dreams. He has turned himself in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and his wife, as I've told you, a young woman that I went to high school with, Melissa Gilbert, may somehow be entangled in this child molestation allegations as well. We'll unpack that for you. And we'll wrap up the show with a little football. The Raiders have a big decision to make. I'm not talking about the pick. If the Raiders don't pick Fernando Mendoza, I'm going to become a damn Philadelphia Eagle fan. I just said that because Ragon's on hold. But Mike Tomlin has, quote, stepped aside. We might even talk about that with our next guest as well, and whether his guy might be on the hot seat. Nick Sirianni, what do you think, Mr. Sports Guy?
I don't think so. I
You don't think so?
Philadelphia. Well, but then again, that's what we said about Peterson, and they let him go.
I was just going to say, he just won a Super Bowl, and they booted Peterson.
Who knows?
Who knows? In the meantime, we are off to Philadelphia, PA. I believe he's back from the Orient. Our man, Nick Ragon. What's really going on?
I am back. And by the way, Tomlin, he resigned, so he has 2 more years on his contract, so he's not coaching anywhere, actually.
Yeah.
That's what
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he'd have to buy his contract out with the Steelers. So, yeah, he resigned. He wasn't fired.
Yeah, but I didn't know that. When they say stepped away, I always think, maybe.
I think he legitimately resigned. He did not get fired.
You don't think they would have whacked him had he not resigned?
No, I don't think so. And look, you've got had 19 winning seasons in a row, but like in these stories, if you read the fine print, it says he's under contract till 27. So he's, not to deflate you poor suffering Raider fans, but Mike Tomlin is not going to be, now maybe Harbaugh or somebody, but like Tomlin, I think he's legitimately going to take a couple of years off.
Yeah, I don't blame him. Get in the booth for a little bit, maybe.
He's, and by the way, Field of Dreams is not overrated. Completely I don't know what planet you're on. It's a top 10 movie, top 15 movie of the last 50 years. So
I've never liked it. I've never gotten it.
All right, we'll have to set up a whole segment on that because you're dead wrong. You probably never watched it completely, but
I haven't gotten through it.
It's legitimately a top 15, 20 movie of all time. Best sports movie of all time. Best guy crime movie of all time. Certainly Costner's best work, whatever that means. But, it's an epic.
They've got Joe Jackson hitting right-handed.
Oh, stop it. Okay.
Ray Liotta hitting right-handed.
It's ridiculous. One factual error, and that deflates the entire movie. No movie would ever stand up.
No, it went way wrong for me long before that. I don't know. I don't like movies that suspend my belief in real. Yes, exactly. Field of Dreams.
So unless it's The Godfather or something real, you're not into it.
That's right. Yes. Biopics. Yes. Real life. Show me what's happening. Real life. I don't need fantasy. I don't need. So I'm in the sci-fi because I think a good sci-fi movie, to me, illustrates the future. You know what I'm saying? I can buy into Star Trek that one day in 300 years, we might be doing that. But there are other sci-fi figures that I just can't even relate to. You know what I'm saying?
All right, that's fine. I didn't want to sidetrack you. As far as the Eagles, Nick Sirianni is not going anywhere, the head coach, although he did fire the offensive coordinator.
Did I not predict that, Mr. Burdick? I said at least the OC is going to go because the patterns they ran on that 4th and 11 play is shameful.
AJ is next.
Chris says
AJ, I think he's a free agent, so yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, he ain't coming back. Have you met him?
I have.
Is he a nice guy?
He is. He's a very nice guy, and I think look, professional athletes they're on a different wavelength than us, and so when they're on their right wavelength, like last year, the Eagles' offense was amazing, and this year it was out of sync from day one.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It was consistently out of sync the entire year, which is hard to do. It's hard to be out of sync the entire year with that much talent. I think Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback. I love Saquon. I think he's the best player in football. I love AJ. Dallas Goedert's the best tight end. They have an amazing line, and yet they couldn't get in sync the whole year.
Yeah.
And this defense, the Eagles defense, is a championship quality defense.
Yes, it is.
On top of last year's championship quality defense. So, as now a new diehard Eagles fan, it was painful. This whole year is painful, but this last game was predictably bad.
Yeah, no one's surprised that their offense sputtered. They got I think 4 first downs in the second half.
It's been the pattern all year. The second half is an offensive abyss, and look, I'm already looking forward to next year, and I love the DNA of this team. The ownership's great. This season in the NFL, it seems like more than ever before, the coaching carousels and, high speed. I just think it'll be an interesting offseason for everybody.
I know you haven't been
the Raiders.
Oh, please. But we're at least going to get the first. We're going to get Mr. Mendoza.
Yeah, Mendoza's a slam dunk. That guy looks like a Hall of Famer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know you haven't been in Philly long. How long has it been? Almost 2 years now?
2 years. Yeah, 2 years exactly.
But why are Philly fans so notoriously, infamously, just horrible human beings?
I used to think
throwing cans and bottles. They were throwing
passionate.
They were throwing bottles at 49er fans.
Look, I don't want to defend bad behavior, but Philly fans, Philly has its own DNA. It has a distinct feeling, different than New York, Boston, DC, San Francisco, whatever. and they take pride in Philly, which I get, and they're really, really passionate, whether it's the Eagles, the Flyers, Philly, Sixers, whatever. It doesn't matter, and they have high standards. And I mean, I tell you what, the mood turned dark at halftime.
I bet. Oh, you were there?
Walking around. Yeah. Well, of course, we were there, and it turned dark. We were winning at halftime.
Yeah.
And we went out to get concessions or whatever, and it was dark. I mean, it was just like the tension.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, I knew then. I was like, oh, this is not going to end well. I just knew it. I knew it in my bones. It was so predictable and yet so not surprising.
Yeah. But I mean, there's been a long history of, the whole Santa Claus, yes.
Prison at the vet.
Yeah.
I get it. Look,
Michael Irvin, them applauding him when
as a New Yorker, I was on the other side of that debate for a long time.
Yep.
Look, they're just passionate fans around, particularly the Eagles, around everything. But like the Eagles are the thing that I learned about being in Philly is like it's the Eagles and everything else. It's a football town. Philly's are great, Sixers are great, Flyers are great, whatever. It is a football town. Like New York, you get the Yankees. It's a baseball town first and foremost. Boston, it's still the Red Sox. But like Philly, it's the Eagles. It really is the Eagles and everything else in a way that most big cities, even like you have like 8 cities that have all 4 major professional sports. I would argue that the Eagles are the only city of those 8 where it's the NFL team dominates. Now, Dallas is probably the exception as well, but like Chicago is still a Cubs and Bears town, more Cubs. New York's a Yankee town. Boston's a Red Sox town. You go down the line, but Philly is an Eagles town.
Yeah, you're right. LA is a Dodger town.
Oh, LA is a Dodgers. They don't even have professional football in LA.
What are you talking about? The damn Rams are about to win the Super Bowl. The Rams are about to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, but they're not really in LA. I mean, come on. LA fans are abysmal. You know that. Except for the Dodgers, Lakers. Actually, LA, you could argue, is a Laker town.
Even Dodger fans are not. Dodger fans show up in the third, leaving the
fans. They show up.
Yeah, they show up in the third.
LA is a Lakers town more than anything, but
not so much. Not anymore. It used to be. You're right. In the 80s, it certainly was.
In the 80s, I always when you go to LA, you go to Showtime.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
New York will always be Yankees town. I mean, the Giants just don't even play in New York.
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, the Knicks. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like once upon a time, the Knicks were kind of a story in the 80s. But like, so anyway, I love the Philly. I love the Eagles. I love Philly fans. It's going to be an interesting offseason in general for the NFL. I think this has been a great postseason for the NFL.
Yeah, it's been incredible. Let's talk a little PGA. Brooks Koepka is returning to the PGA after going for the money on the LIV Tour, but there are some guidelines. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so Brooks, look, I was not surprised. He was never happy on LIV. He didn't play well. They did a really smart thing, I think, the Tour. They created this window for just him, Bryson, Cam Smith, and John Rahm, where they said if you won a major since 22, then you have this opportunity back if you pay the fine and you can't get into signature events. So it was really smart. I mean, really smart for the Tour to do this. I think Tiger was the mastermind behind it. I mean, they purposely said 22 and not 21 because they didn't want Phil. He holds grudges. And so it's brilliant.
That's funny.
For the first time in 3 years, the Tour has approached a LIV star. And I think, truthfully, I think if Jay Monahan was still commissioner, I'm not sure this happens because he was so raw with emotion and feelings ran so hard. I don't know that he could have gotten out of his own way, but this new commissioner seems like, look, it's a clean slate. It's a high hurdle for Brooksy. He has to pay the fine. He also has to play his way back. Like he doesn't get into signature events. So he plays 15 regular tour events. And if he doesn't play well, which he has not been playing well, there's no guarantee that he gets into signature events next year. Now, he obviously won a major a few years ago, so he still has status. But I think it was a very fair, very shrewd, very equitable, if you could even use that word, deal to take a star back. But a star that has some, stuff to prove. He had a really bad year in the majors last year, which he prides himself in. And so do I think, Rahm and DeChambeau and Cam Smith have already said today they're not taking the bait. Now, here's the irony of it, that Bryson's contract with LIV ends this year, and he and Brooks have had a famously tense relationship. And with Brooks leaving, you have to think that Pip is going to roll up the Brinks truck to Bryson, because if they lose Bryson, that league folds. And so, Brooks, he probably added another 0 to Bryson's check.
Really?
Don't you think?
Yeah, that makes sense. When I think about it.
If you're Liv, you cannot afford to lose the only guy that really. He and Rom are the only two guys that really mean anything. And it's really been Bryson. I mean, he's won a major. He's a big star on YouTube. He's box office, right?
Yeah.
So you lose Bryson, that whole thing folds. And so I think the Saudis, the PIF money, they're going to look at that. And if Bryson's offer was going to be $250 million for renewal, it now goes up to $500 million.
Wow, and that's tough to turn down, boy.
It's tough to turn down, and especially if Liv gets world ranking points, which I think they will. They went to 4 days a week, four rounds. Then it's like Bryson really. I don't think he misses the tour, and he likes playing in the majors. And if you get world ranking points, I think he's going to be fine with that. But if he doesn't sign, that whole league collapses.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Any other defections? Anybody else talking about trying to come back?
I don't think so. I mean, look, Pat Perez is trying to go. Kevin Nod. There's lesser guys that look. The tour, it's smart. The tour is not giving those guys a path back. They're going to punish them. So, if you're Pat Perez and Hudson Swafford and all these other guys, they're not giving them an easy path back. They're going to have to sit out a couple years and probably go through Q school or something. They're not getting status. They really were like, hey, we just want your stars. We want Brooksy, we want Cam, we want Ron, we want Bryson. And those are the guys we really don't care about. And that's probably the right thing to do, because the truth is, those other guys, the Kevin Nas of the world and Hudson Swafford and whatever, Pat Perez, has the tour missed them? No, of course not. Who cares?
No. Kevin Na is best known for his antics.
Walking in his putt.
Yeah, with Tiger. That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen on a golf course.
That is. I love that.
That really is.
They honestly, the tour has not missed those guys. The tour has missed Bryson. The tour has missed Cam Smith a little bit. They missed Rom for sure.
Yeah.
I think they missed Dustin. I think they missed Phil. I'm still a Phil fan. But, they have not missed those other guys. And so, I think there's going to be a two-tiered system to come back. One is for the big four, which one of them came already. And I think Bryson, Cam, and Rom may or may not, doubtful. And then everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely right. The other, so we're talking with Nick Ragone, as we do often, about golf and other sporting events going on. The PGA rules made some changes. However, the most significant rule that they did not change, and you got to explain to me why this is so important to the PGA, and that is hitting out of a divot. I just don't understand that.
Well, look, because it's part of the game. They're never going to change that rule, because you never should change that rule. Just because you hit the fairway doesn't mean you have carte blanche to a perfect lie.
See, that's what I know. See, I think the exact opposite. I think the whole point of the fairway is this is where you hit it to have a clean shot. If you can't hit this, it's going to be a more difficult shot. But then you hit it right down the middle, particularly for the pros who all hit it in the same section, and you're sitting in a sand hole. It's ridiculous.
Think about the logic. If that was really the case, you would play lift, clean, and place in the fairway all the time. And they don't do that because it's ridiculous. So, okay, on occasion, maybe once every 20 rounds, you hit a fairway and you end up in a sand divot. Deal with it. That's part of the game. It's the rub of the green. I have no problem with that. I think it's good because, some guys know how to play out of divots. It's just another shot you need to know how to do. And if you wanted it to be lift, clean, and place all the time, you could have that. But how boring would that be?
Yeah, no, I don't agree with that. But how do you practice a divot shot?
I always practice them on a driving range. Always once in a while, I put one in a little divot just to.
Do you really?
You got to, absolutely. You got to hit down on it. You got to put the ball back. You got to pinch it. You got to hit a little shot. Yeah, I mean, look, it's part of the game.
You are such a freak.
You never hear the pros complaining about that.
You are such a freak.
I mean, I love hitting balls. I love practicing.
I cannot wait to tell my boys that you practice hitting.
I absolutely do. I practice hitting, especially on the green. I always, bad lies and stuff like that. But the point is, you never hear a PGA Tour pro saying we need to change that rule, because they don't really think that. Now, if you're in the last round of a major and you hit the fairway on 14 on the PGA on Sunday, and you're going to sit and do it, if you're Jordan Spieth, you get a huff and puff and moan, but they don't really want to change that rule. It's part of the game.
All right. What do you think of some of the other rule changes that they did?
I didn't see what were the other ones.
Did I send you that thing on the rule change thing? I have the audio on my deal. Hang on, let me play this for you. Just give me a second here. Timothy Busfield, LA Lakers. Hang on, don't go anywhere. We got plenty of time.
Timothy Busfield thing is weird.
Isn't that crazy? You know, I went to high school.
I remember him from 30-something as well. I remember him. He was on an episode of Family Ties where he played Alex's buddy.
Yeah, I don't remember that. You know, I went to high school.
Like, in the 80s.
I went to high school with Melissa Gilbert.
Melissa Gilbert?
And she's,
I mean, wasn't she on the set of Little House on the Prairie all the time?
She was. That's what I tell our my audience, that we rarely saw her. She was in Michael Landon's kids, went to Buckley as well. But he chose her for some reason. Nick Reiner, I cannot find these rule changes. God dang it. I cannot find it.
Any notable rule changes?
Yeah, there were, and I assumed you would know them, so I didn't write them down like an idiot. And I can't find them on my situation here. God dang it. Chris, can you find it?
I'm working on it right now.
We got new rules, but I cannot find it anywhere. God dang it.
I mean, the big rule that changed in the last couple of years, the one that I thought was a little interesting, was that when the drop went from over your shoulder to then like placing it on the ground. I thought that was weird. I still think that's weird.
Yeah. Oh, I remember when you used to have to do it behind your back.
Yeah, behind the back drop. Remember that? And then, then I remember when that got switched over, it was a big deal. Like it's shoulder length, but you could see it. And now it's like you drop it from an inch above, and you basically place it, which it makes no sense to me.
Okay, recent golf rule changes focusing on modernizing play, including PGA Tour adjustments for 2026, like reduced preferred lie relief, allowing damaged club replacement, broader obstruction relief, and new pace of play policies, which I think is gargantuan. I think
the pace of play would be huge if that works.
Yeah.
Are they using rangefinders? Is that official?
No, I don't think so. Preferred lies, relief area reduced from one club length to the length of a scorecard marked by stickers.
That's interesting. That's a huge change. I mean, it used to be you play the one club length that you'd game the system. Now you can't do that.
Exactly. That's
a one card length. That's bizarre.
Damaged clubs can be replaced mid-round with similar types if damage wasn't from abuse. So if you hit a rock and destroy your 3-wood, you can replace it.
I always thought that was the case. If you broke your driver head, you could replace it. So I'm surprised that. I mean, look, if you snap it over your knee, you can't replace it. Right. I always thought if you injured it in the normal course of a round, you could replace it. I guess I didn't know that.
Here's the pace of play new rule. Excessive average stroke time. Policy flags players taking significantly longer strokes for potential fines. I don't know what that means, really.
I don't know what that means. I don't think it's going to do anything.
Pitch marks. Relief now applies to unrepaired pitch marks from any player on the fairway. Now, what is it?
Any player on the fairway?
Yeah, what exactly is a pitch mark as opposed to a divot?
It's a ball mark from the ball mark.
So if the ball digs into the fairway, you can replace it like if you were on a green?
No, the ball, if a ball plugs, you can, but I guess if there's an unfixed old ball mark and you go in it, you can replace it from there, is my reading on that. I don't know, that's a weird, I mean, you don't see a lot of pitch marks in the fairway. It has to be really wet for that to happen.
Yeah.
I guess what they're saying is if you land in one that wasn't repaired, you get relief, which again, I always thought that was the case.
Ball moved during search is a new rule. No penalty if a ball is accidentally moved during a search.
I mean, you're walking in the rough and you're looking for your ball and you shouldn't get penalized.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I'm out of time. Always great to talk to you. How was your vacation? How long were you guys gone?
We were there for like 16 days. It was great. It's good to be back home, but it was great.
Wow, that's incredible. All right, man, we'll talk to you soon. We've got the Masters coming up in just a little while. A lot of things to talk about this spring.
All right.
All right, sir. All right, take care. Brandon Lane. Go. Quick time out. We'll have probably no time we come back. We'll get into the back half of the hour right after these words.
News Talk 96.1 and AM.
Messmaker. Coming up on the Wednesday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, there's an investigation going on of Fed Chair Jerome Powell.
You know the one where I sound sick?
Also, what about Trump when he talked about the possibility of lowering the credit card interest rate to 10%? Affordability.
I have one in there. I don't know if it's the right one, but
I think it is.
one if not.
Okay, yeah, run that one.
In Minneapolis with the ICE officer coming up on Clay and Buck.
Live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
One of the highlights of this radio broadcast appears on Thursdays at 4:30. Our money man, Daniel Petrie with Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. You all know by now what Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors are all about. You know that I've turned on staff members who are extremely happy with being a client with Daniel. And I've told you, I've been a client for almost a decade now, and it is the single most important and smartest financial move I have ever made.
So what was
if you're staring at retirement late in life and you're in the fourth quarter, call Daniel, 395-9400, 395-9400. Just keep it locked. Tune in every Thursday at 4:30 when it appears on the broadcast. Daniel Petrie and the folks at Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only. Does not constitute a solicitation or offer to buy or sell any security, future, option, or other financial instrument, or to offer or provide any investment advisory or other services to any person in any jurisdiction by Daniel Petrie or MPWA DBA Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. Any views expressed in this broadcast by us are prepared based upon the information available to us at the time, and we are under no obligation to update our views.
Not again. This copier is always jamming.
We should call American Business Machines.
Since 1927, American Business Machines, an authorized Canon dealer, has been providing reliable office solutions. From state-of-the-art copiers to advanced printers, we ensure your business runs smoothly. Visit abm1.com or call us today at 1-877-YES-ABM1. That's 1-877-937-2261. American Business Machines, your trusted partner for all your office technology needs.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Want to thank our man Nick Ragoon. We'll talk to him again. Masters coming up in April. In the meantime, we head to the back half of the 4 o'clock hour. I would stick around if I you.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump was meeting with his national security team to discuss the Iranian government's violent crackdown on protesters as he looks to get a better understanding of the number of Iranian citizens who've been killed and arrested in more than 2 weeks of unrest through the country. The Supreme Court seems likely to uphold state laws barring men and boys from playing on girls' and women's school athletic teams. Lower courts ruled for transgender athletes in Idaho and West Virginia who challenged the state bans, but the conservative-dominated Supreme Court gave no indication after more than 3 hours of arguments Tuesday that it would follow suit. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 398 points, the NASDAQ dropped 24. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. If you got into that traffic mess this morning on Highway 58 and were forced to take a detour, the Highway Patrol says that's all because of a truck fire this morning just after 2:15, in which an ice cream truck burned. It was unclear if anyone was hurt, but the highway was shut down for several hours. You are invited to share your thoughts about a possible sewer rate increase, which the city of Bakersfield is proposing to help pay for updating the city's aging sewer system. The next meeting is tonight at 6 at the Southwest Library on Ming Avenue. If you can't make that one, another meeting is scheduled for tomorrow night at Ridgeview High School, and another is Thursday at South High School. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
You know, Michael, one of the things people don't understand sometimes is all the work that goes into making these awesome commercials. You know, you and I are out here, we get to do all the fun stuff, talking it up, having a good time. There's a guy that sits over here behind his computer, Rocky. Now, this guy, there's a true talent. We're just a couple of knuckleheads with some voices. This guy really makes us sound good.
Truer words have never been spoken.
I've known Rock for a lot of years, and he is like Mozart with that computer. He makes everyone sound better. So with that being said, one of the ways you get so excited about Salty's Barbecue is because of the great work that Rocky does when he puts together these awesome spots. I'm going to let my good buddy Rocky just say a quick hello and a big thank you to him. So Rocky, here you go.
Thank you, gentlemen. I truly appreciate those kind words, and it is an absolute honor to be able to knock these commercials out for you guys. And yes, they are not exaggerating because these guys are a handful, to say the least.
So what do you
can find
got?
us at 9425
What do you got
Rosedale Highway or
transgender-wise?
6801 White Lane, or if you want, you can go to Salty.
Katanji.
Who?
Katanji Brown Jackson.
Okay.
Clarence Thomas talking about Title IX. I got 2 for that one. And then I got what's the chick's name? The blonde lady.
Kavanaugh?
No,
Robert?
Riley Gaines. Riley Gaines said something before,
great.
so I got her too.
Sweet. Nice job.
You can double your power for free with a free expansion battery when you order the Grid Doctor 3300. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and get your Grid Doctor 3300 today. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Let's check the board, see what you all are talking about. What do you got?
Good on you, Ralph. If there's anything we've learned these last couple years is that no one is above the law. California, best state, USA, 2026, best country.
Okay.
I don't know what the last part of that is, but
And I don't know who they're alluding to in terms of nobody getting. I'm assuming Ms. Scrivener.
I would assume the same.
Yeah. Well, apparently she is above the law because she committed a crime and lied on deputies, and I don't think she's going to be prosecuted for it. And I would not want her. I would not want to see Kathy Scrivener go to jail. I know Kathy Scrivener. I don't know her well. I knew her through her son, and I know her through Kathy Abernathy. In fact, Kathy Scrivener drove Kathy and I out to Taft College when I was the MC for a baseball event, a baseball fundraiser, where they brought up Ron Say. It was a great night. I have terminated my relationship with the baseball coach up there because I think he's a bit wackadoo. So I'll never get invited back up there. But it was a great night. You know, Ron Say was one of my heroes. He was part of that 70s, those 70s Dodger teams that I almost cried over losing first. The Dodgers are the Jerry Quarry of the 70s baseball. We just came around in the bad time. You know, Jerry Quarry came. If Jerry Quarry, Shafter boy, by the way, was born 10 years earlier, he would have been heavyweight champion of the world. His problem was he came up at a time when they were just a couple of really good guys that you may have heard of. Joe Frazier, George Foreman, Ken Norton, and some guy named Muhammad. Other than that, he'd have been a champion. And it's the same thing for my 70s Dodgers. When Lasorda comes from Washington with Bobby Valentine and Bill Buckner and that infield that they all played up there in, what's the song say? Kalamazoo? From Walla Walla, Washington to Kalamazoo. They were either in Walla Walla or Kalamazoo. But they put a great team together, but they faced the 70 A's with Reggie Jackson and Sal Bando and Gene Tennis and Joe Rudy and Vida Blue and Catfish Hunter, all Hall of Famers. They won 3 straight. So then they grow old. We're still young. And here comes, this club out of Ohio with Pete Rose and Joe Morgan and Johnny Bench and Tony Perez and Davey Concepcion and again a team full of Hall of Famers. So finally the big red machine gets old. And who do we face? The damn Yankees. Reginald Martinez Jackson, Thurman Munson, Chris Chambliss, Willie Rudolph, Catfish Hunter. I mean, it was just bad luck. So for me to sit down with Ron Say was a blast. But getting back to the point, because I'm all over the joint, Kathy Scrivener drove us out there. That's the closest and most time I ever spent with her. She seems like a wonderful woman. You know, we can question about the son she raised, who had issues in college and issues as a man, but I'm not going to question anybody's parenthood, not on this radio show, maybe personally, but, you know, I think one of the most important things you can do in life is raise mature, law-abiding, decent human beings, and I'm not sure Zach was ever one of those guys. I think Zach led a life of deception for much of his life. You know, you think a politician who sold weed in college and it didn't impair his career. Because again, maybe I'm wrong, but do you guys really think that if it was well known that I got arrested at Morehouse College for selling weed, that I could be a politician in this town? Do you really think that? Because I don't. I really don't. And you would think a guy that dodged a bullet like that would be like, you know what? I'm going to be on the straight and narrow. But we'll never know what Zach Scrivener's situation was. We know Christina Scrivener claimed that he almost died years before the incident. So he had a serious drinking problem that I was never aware of. I knew Zach for years and had been in social situations with him and had never seen him drunk, never seen him drink to excess. But you just, you know, you never know somebody. I've always said you never know someone until you live with them. That's when you really know somebody. What else you got?
Ralph, did you see the video of your favorite president flipping the bird to an auto worker who insulted him? What an embarrassment to you and your party. You elected a childish, petty man-child who responds to criticism like a sixth grader.
John Kennedy gave somebody the finger?
That's what I was wondering.
Because he said my favorite president, right?
That's what he said, yeah.
So John Kennedy's been dug up. He'd be 100 and 1917 and 17 and 26, 7. He would be 108 years old. So I don't know what you're talking about. Everybody on this program knows John Fitzgerald Kennedy is my favorite president. But okay. What else you got?
Donnie's boy should. Oh, I'm not going to say that one. Never mind. Never mind. That's a little hateful on that one. We're going to skip that one.
Okay.
She said that the AG's office was incompetent. Is it that they were incompetent or that they shoved some stuff under the rug?
We'll never know. If I had to vote, if I had to guess, if I had to speculate, which I never do, I would vote for the latter. I think they got in a room and they said to themselves, our boy H.A. Salad down there is doing this case. Well, let me throw that out. I don't know that. But I do believe in my heart they came together and they said, we got to dodge this. We can't send this guy to jail. Let's select a charge that is serious, that we can defend. We'll send this neophyte, Joe Penny, down there to take on one of the best defense attorneys in the state, no question about that, if not in the nation. And we'll just create a lane. We know that he can get mental diversion. And we'll, make a fuss as if we're angry that he received mental diversion, and we'll move on from this. And we'll seal all the records. We won't allow the public to see how we made this decision or why we didn't refute Sala's handpicked psychologist. I think this thing, for whatever reason, now the motive for that, I don't think we'll ever know. I don't think we'll ever know. But to me, there's no question they went out of their way, they being the AG's office, to make this thing slide underneath the rug. Just everything they did just made no sense. Just made absolutely no sense. And I don't think you have to go to law school to understand just how incompetently this thing was handled. And as much as I would like to say they are incompetent, they ain't that incompetent. They ain't that stupid. They're just not. And yet here we are. Here we are. And as you heard Sheriff Youngblood say, Penny made allusions to Kathy Scrivener obstruction of justice in the courtroom. In the courtroom during the case. So this thing just stinks to high heaven. I talked with Lauren Skidmore yesterday. They're closing in on, I'm sure they're over it now. This was yesterday, so they were around 2,700 signatures. I'm sure it's over 3,000 today. And if you have not done so and don't know what the hell I'm talking about, Lauren Skidmore, the executive director of the Open Door Network, which provides, sponsorship. That's not the word I'm looking for. Comfort, solace, partnership with victims involved in situations like this. And she's been a tremendous help to Christina Scrivener. She's created a petition on change.org where you can sign, and we're trying to create some momentum to have the AG's office examine this thing again. And if not the AG's office, then perhaps on a federal level and have the Department of Justice jump in this thing. Again, like I have repeatedly said, I have never, in the 32 years I've lived here, not 33, seen this community agree on one situation. Never. The Minneapolis situation is completely split. It depends on what letter comes behind your name. If it's a D, you think she was murdered. If it was R, you think she broke the law. It's that simple. But on this Scrivener thing, it's pretty one-sided. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we've got some audio in terms of the SCOTUS discussion today on transgender athletes. You'll hear from Ketanji Brown Jackson, the DEI hire of Joe Biden, who could not, in her confirmation hearings, tell the senators what a woman is. Couldn't do it. She has James Clyburn, congressman from my daddy's home state of South Carolina, to thank for her position on the court. That was part of the deal Joe Biden made. If you remember, Joe Biden was languishing and getting his ass kicked by Bernie Sanders. Well, the Democratic Party didn't want that. They knew that a socialist was not going to win the presidency. That's why the following election, they skipped Iowa, knowing that Uncle Fluffy would lose, and started it in South Carolina. And part of the collusion was James Clyburn would hold his hand up, Biden's, in Columbia, the capital of South Carolina, and declare him his candidate, which would get the black vote. But Clyburn wanted a black vice president and a black jurist. And Papajenko, look what we got. Kamala Harris and Ketanji Brown Jackson. You'll hear from her. You'll hear from Clarence Thomas and Riley Gaines, the female swimmer who has been the point person in defending female athletes. You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We stream live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 11.
Adapted.
The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
It would cost $7.5 million to do 2 blocks, and Andre's vision is to go 4 more blocks to the west and another block to the east, and you multiply that by 3, and you're getting $20 million in improvements down 6 blocks where, I don't know, another certain city councilman and his boys just happen to own 5 different properties.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Are you tired of IT companies forcing your business into their own one-size-fits-all solutions? Well, as you heard last week when we had the owners of Adaptive Networks on, Jen and Ryan Van Alstyne, Adaptive Networks is completely different. And nobody knows that better than the folks here at American General Media, because we've partnered up with Adaptive Networks and they do our IT. And there's no business that needs reliable IT than a radio station. And they're customer-driven, creating customer technology solutions that fit your unique business needs, not generic packages. And while other MSPs make you adapt to them, Adaptive Networks adapts to you. And that's what makes our radio station run. Just call them today at 661-241-0638 or visit adaptive-net.com today.
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Norma Diaz, owner of La Rosa Fruit Bars and Ice Cream.
Hi, I'm Norma Diaz from La Rosa Fruit Bars and Ice Cream, and I'm a client and friend of Paul Sheldon. I've known Paul for many, many years, and my parents happened to be his first clients. So, of course, I called Paul and immediately felt this peace come over me, knowing that I didn't have to freak out about making a big decision. His knowledge about Medicare and your health insurance needs are beyond compare, and I was taken care of immediately by his wonderful staff. He knew everything that I needed and what I wouldn't need, so I was pretty much in and out of there in record time. If you're getting to that age or you're going to be needing to know about Medicare, then he's the one to call.
Pretty cool.
He will totally help you out and get you pointed in the right direction. You're going to leave there feeling a great accomplishment and no concerns. And even if you have questions later, his staff can help you out. Those feelings are just priceless.
You like 3 days
so
and you
call
can
Paul.
dress
You'll be
whatever
glad
you want?
you did.
When Medicare matters,
Never?
our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298. Progressive knows life takes you in many directions.
Bear right at exit 32, then begin to wonder why you never bought a fish tank. In 1.3 miles, you'll realize you've been mispronouncing epitome your whole life. At the roundabout, you will remember you said something at dinner you wish you hadn't, and will think about it for decades. You have arrived at your destination, but it turns out there really is no destination, and life just keeps going.
Wherever life takes you, protect your home and auto with a bundle from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
You still thinking job change in the new year? Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy. IT? Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI. That's what I did. Really? How? Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up. Sweet. Are classes online or on campus? Both. Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. An Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
If you by my side, you got the bed, sweet darling. So the Supreme Court has taken up this landmark decision on transgender athletes. It comes down to two questions. Basically, can states ban transgender girls from competing on girls' school sports teams, and are banning permissible under equal protection clause of the 14th Amendment, which Teresa Goldner alluded to, and Title IX, which was created during the Nixon administration in 1972 and has been an absolute game changer. Whenever we talk about this, I always talk about a young lady that I matriculated with at Cal State who was a star basketball player at West High School. And yet she goes to her local college and she can't play basketball because in the 90s, CSUB had no women's program. And it was because of Title IX, much to the chagrin of the wrestling program, which we're all aware, most of you are aware of, where local folks had to come in and fund the wrestling program because they had to equal it out based on Title IX. And that's why the wrestling team suffered. It was saved by local folks that came, because you can argue, even with the back-to-back basketball championships while I was there in 92 and 93, that wrestling really is the most dominant program at CSUB. It's the first program. Hell, they were wrestling Division I when I was there in 92, and the basketball program was winning championships on a Division 2 level. And of course, you all know, oh Lord.
Stephen Neal?
Thank you. God. You can make an argument he's the greatest athlete to come out of that college. And imagine a kid that's a wrestling star who never played college football becomes a Super Bowl champion on the New England Patriots. Well, as the judges kind of banter this thing back and forth, reporters are indicating they are leaning towards a ban. Let's begin with Clarence Thomas.
Couldn't you make a similar argument with respect to Title IX itself?
Junction should be affirmed. I welcome the court's questions.
Couldn't you make a similar argument with respect to Title IX itself and the sex difference, the permission, the fact that you can have male and female sports?
No, Your Honor. So I think the question would be, would the sex line that's drawn in sports, and that's a line that does exist, as a commonplace line, is that substantially related to the important state interest?
Clearly. And we get the other side from Ketanji Brown Jackson.
I don't understand why that subclass can't make this showing and get the remedy as to them.
Because if it's one person, you're basically converting the law into strict scrutiny.
But you're not. I mean, because what you're doing is you're allowing that individual to get the remedy that we've said in cases like CASA is the only thing that's available, that you can't have this flow to everybody. It's just about this individual and whether or not he's been unconstitutionally treated.
So again, because if the law is reasonably tailored for 99.99999% of people, and you come up with a point fraction of percent and say that person has a viable claim, that's more than you would ever require under strict scrutiny. I don't know if any.
No, but I mean, what's the result of that? If you're making a facial challenge, I understand that you're saying that if the law has such a broad sweep of constitutionality, then we're not going to strike this thing down just because we can identify one person for whom it doesn't apply. But if you are that one person and you can show that this is unconstitutional as applied to you, I guess I don't understand why it matters that it's constitutional as applied to 99.9% of the other people.
I'll be honest with you guys. I don't know about you, but I didn't understand a word of that. I didn't understand what Clarence Thomas was talking about. I don't understand what Ketanji Brown Jackson was talking about. Let's use athlete. Here is Riley Gaines, who's been the point person on this, former award-winning swimmer.
Let me be very, very clear. What me and what my teammates faced, it was not inclusive. It was exclusive because we as women were excluded from participating, from competing, from calling ourselves champions, because we were sent the message, and there's lots of fingers to point. I mentioned the Democratic Party. You could point a finger at many different institutions, the NCAA being one of them. We were told loud and clear that our rights to safety, our rights to privacy in areas of undressing, our rights to equal opportunity, they didn't matter. They certainly didn't matter as much as the boy's feelings, the man's feelings, his happiness. We were told that mattered more than our rights.
Now that I understood. And that is a brilliant point, because nowhere in the arguments have I heard any allusion to the fact that you do realize that we're allowing biological males to run around in female locker rooms. And maybe collegiate athletes could handle that. But do you want your 15-year-old granddaughter getting undressed in front of a biological male who simply at the age of 15 suddenly identifies as a male? You know, you can identify as anything you want. I can identify as a Latino and call myself Rafael. But am I Latino? No, not at all. I haven't done the 23andMe thing, but I'm pretty certain my folks come from Georgia and South Carolina. I can identify any way I want, but I can't walk away from my true past any more than a male or a female can walk away from their scientific chromosomes? At what point, and I know this is all redundant, this is so weird to talk about this, but at what point did we walk away from science? At what point did biology, simple ninth grade biology, just not make any sense anymore? And when in the history of mankind have we seen this? Homosexuality is as old as sex itself. But transgenderism, maybe on an adult level, we've seen this before. There's always been cross-dressers. Maybe not always, but for much of American history, there's always been cross-dressers. One of the most famous, you know what one of the most famous cross-dressers is in American history? And if you think I'm lying, go look this up. His name is on buildings in Washington, D.C., in front of the FBI. It's called J. Edgar Hoover. J. Edgar Hoover was as gay as Liberace. It's one of the reasons many people, like Ralph Bailey, believe he denied, up until it was absolutely impossible to deny that the mafia didn't exist. As late as the beginning of World War II, J. Edgar Hoover insisted in Senate hearings the mafia did not exist. Why? In my opinion, the mafia had him. They knew he was gay, and they blackmailed the hell out of him. So cross-dressing isn't anything new. But what is new is children, preteen children, and if you can put the effort into making a boy who identifies as a girl feel comfortable in his new girl body, can't you put the same effort in trying to convince that young boy that he should be comfortable in his body, accept the cards that he was dealt by God, and just play it out and live up to his greatest potential? If you can put that energy into a transition child, you can put the same energy into a biological male.
This is AM 1180 KERN. Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM. Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Greenland is reacting to U.S. designs on the island.
Nasha Nathanielson, Greenland's Minister for Business and Mineral Resources, urged the Trump administration to listen to the people there.
We have no intention of becoming American. It is not something we have aimed for, worked for, but we have worked towards more collaboration with Americans for many, many years. We are an American ally.
Nathanielson says Greenlanders are not sleeping. Children are afraid. President Trump has pushed the issue and is considering a range of options, including military force, to acquire Greenland.
For others, this might be a piece of land, but for us, it's home.
Greenland is a semi-autonomous Danish territory. I'm Ed Donahue.
The Supreme Court heard arguments over state laws barring transgender athletes from playing on girls' teams. Kathleen Hartnett was representing.
She has suppressed her testosterone for over a year and taken estrogen.
Attorney Hashim Mopan equated an changing hormones to taking performance-altering drugs.
In short, male athletes who take performance-altering drugs are not similarly situated to female athletes, and states need not treat them the same.
Lower courts ruled for the transgender athletes who challenged the state bans. The issue now stands before the conservative majority Supreme Court. Civil rights pioneer Claudette Colvin has died. She was 86. Her 1955 arrest for refusing to give up her seat on a segregated Montgomery bus helped spark the modern civil rights movement. More at townhall.com.
Sheepdog, in theaters January 16th.
I just want to wake up in the morning and feel something.
U.S. Army veteran Calvin Cole confronts his past and through the tough love and support of his community finds the courage to rebuild.
Sometimes we gotta fall apart all over again.
Raw, real, and powerful. Critics hail Sheepdog as one of the best films of the year, and the Charlie Kirk Show declares it a must-see film. See Sheepdog in theaters Friday, January 16th. Rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training and cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What becomes of the melted ice cream? I'm Chris Davis. You might also say what becomes of the burned ice cream truck, because that's how the ice cream got melted. That all started about 2:15 this morning on Highway 58 near the Mount Vernon Avenue off-ramp. That's where the Highway Patrol says they responded to the truck fire and eventually had to close down the highway for hours to deal with the mess. It was not clear from the Highway Patrol if anyone was hurt. Your sewer rates may be going up. The city says that is to help replace and improve what they say is an aging infrastructure, but they don't intend to go forward with it without input from the people. So you are invited to bring your concerns to a meeting that'll be tonight at 6 at the Southwest Library on Ming Avenue. Another meeting is scheduled for tomorrow night at Ridgeview High School, and another is Thursday night at South High School. You may not readily know the name Benjamin Nquanta, but for many people who have been in trouble with the law, he had been an important part of their defense. The longtime public defender has died, say his colleagues at the public defender's office. They did not say how he died. Nquanta was known for his more than 2 decades of service and for helping defend his clients and their rights. It is still unknown whether Maya Hernandez will be tried again on a murder charge in the June death of her 1-year-old son Emilio in a hot car, but people who positioned themselves outside the courthouse Monday believe she should have to face that charge again, reports KGET, citing comments from several protesters who believe she should have to face another jury after the mistrial on that charge last month. Another hearing is February 3rd. Filling up this afternoon, you'll pay about $4.18 on average for a gallon of regular, says Gas Buddy. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think? This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get up close like this. Bada bing! You blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Tuesday, 13th day of January. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN, where we stream live at kernradio.com and broadcast live on YouTube. Still lots to do, but I got a comment on our news guy. I don't think that's our news guy. I think that's the national news guy at the very top, right? Where he announced that Claudette Colvin had died. And I'm sure very few of you are aware of who Claudette Colvin is. We talked about her last February when, during the month of Black History Month, I highlight a Black person in history each day. And Claudette Colvin was one of those people. It is a fascinating story. She was one of the original people in Montgomery, Alabama, who on her own refused to go to the back of the bus. If you know anything about history, you know that the civil rights movement was sparked by Jackie Robinson. Martin Luther King Jr. grew up in Georgia, where Jackie Robinson was from. In fact, Dr. King knew some of Robinson's family, who remained in Georgia when obviously Mrs. Robinson took her 3 boys, Mac, Jackie, and I forget what the other boy's name was, moved to Pasadena, where Jackie's and Mac's athletics would shine. Mac Robinson was second to Jesse Owens in the 1936 Olympics in Munich, or Berlin, I should say. Munich or Berlin? I think Berlin. But nevertheless, she was one of the original, Claudia Copeland was one of the original folks arrested for not going to the back of the bus. But she was 15 years old, she was unmarried, and she was pregnant. And Dr. King, Ralph Abernathy, the brain trust of the civil rights movement, knew that the media would tear her apart. In fact, there is a quote from the woman who was given credit for being the first to refuse Rosa Parks. When asked about this, she had said, if the white press got a hold of that information, the fact that she was pregnant, 15, and unmarried, and again, this is in 1954, 1955, they would have had a field day. They'd call her a bad girl, and her case wouldn't have a chance. And instead, they selected Rosa Parks, who was a married woman, a secretary for the NAACP in Montgomery, and as they say, the rest is history. That was truly the birth of the civil rights movement, the year-long amazing bus boycott where most of the African-American women in Montgomery in 1955 were maids. They were the only jobs available to a black woman in 1955 in the deep South. And they would have to take the bus from the segregated white community to the segregated black community. And so this bus boycott, and they made up the vast majority of the patrons of the local bus company in Montgomery. And it was King and Ralph Abernathy and Andrew Young who said, we're going to do this. And they amazingly used parishioners from the church's cars to ferry these women back and forth. And the white legislators in Montgomery believed that they could wait them out and they could never sustain this thing without having the buses. Women would have to walk in many cases from these segregated neighborhoods. And it went on for over a year until finally the court stepped in and said, you can't do this. That was the beginning. That and the separate but not equal case, Brown versus the Board of Topeka Education, Kansas, which was argued by a later to become Supreme Court Justice, a man by the name of Thurgood Marshall, who you should all be aware of. So I found that interesting. She passed away at the age, I think she was 90 years old. Please stand by. She was 86 years old. And such a gargantuan part of history, and yet at the same time, just a blip in history because nobody really, you have to be kind of deep into the civil rights movement to even know she existed. But she was a fascinating woman. She really was. And she was bitter about the fact that historically she was kind of left out simply because she was a young woman. And let's face it, in the 1950s, you know, kids getting married in their teenage years, particularly in the South, and having babies at 15, 16 wasn't quite as, I don't know if the word scandalous is right, but it wasn't quite as controversial or whatever the word is as it was back then. Meantime, we have a package, do we not? On Mr. Busfield, Timothy Busfield, the man we talked about earlier, who was a star in Field of Dreams and for the older folks, 30-something, a ABC series that I enjoyed. And also he played a associate press reporter on the show West Wing. Here is the latest on Tim Busfield and his wife, Melissa Gilbert.
And shocking detail has emerged in this high-profile Hollywood investigation. In the case involving actor and director Timothy Busfield, who is now facing child sexual abuse and child abuse charges with an arrest warrant already issued, court documents have revealed another significant layer. According to official records, Busfield's wife, actress Melissa Gilbert, was present on speakerphone during a police interview. The interview took place on November 3rd, 2020.
I'm sorry, no, this is yesterday. Give me
Yeah,
one second.
yeah, that's what I thought.
I have to pull up the TMZ one real
That's
quick.
all right.
But give me one second.
That's okay. We've got plenty of time.
Hi, everybody. It's Tim. I'm sure most of you know that are watching this that I was ordered to come to Albuquerque. I'm here now. I got the call Friday night. I had to get a lawyer. Saturday, I got in a car and drove 2,000 miles to Albuquerque. I'm going to confront these lies. They're horrible. They're all lies. And I did not do anything to those little boys. And I'm going to fight it. I'm going to fight it with a great team. And I'm going to be exonerated. I know I am, because this is all so wrong and all lies. So hang in there, and hopefully I'm out real soon, and back to work. And I love everybody for supporting me. Thank you.
I'd love to believe him, but he has a past. There were charges some 12 years ago that he dodged again. It was very, very hush-hush, but if you dig deep into his bio, it has now become an issue because now he's been charged by a 10 and 11-year-old who insists that it happened on more than one occasion. And Melissa Gilbert may be dragged into this thing because apparently she was on a phone call with police, and there were some implications that perhaps she was aware of what was going on. It's just a horrible, horrible situation. I find it hard to believe the two children would simply make this up to destroy a man's life. Certainly a possibility. He has the absolute presumption of innocence, but it don't look good. It don't look good. And he seemed like such a nice guy. He never played a sinister character. In fact, do you remember him? He is one of the original nerds in the Nerd Pictures. Huh?
What now?
In the Nerd Pictures. What was the original Nerd picture?
Revenge of the Nerds?
Was that the first? No, that was the second one, wasn't it? What was the first one? Anybody want to chime in? Because Revenge of the Nerds, or maybe that was the original.
Oh, I believe that's the original.
That's the original? And check the cast. Is Busfield? Because I remember him playing.
Yeah, Arnold Poindexter.
Yeah, he played with the guy with the glasses.
Yeah.
He was a young kid. And that, to me, I hate to say this to show you how lowbrow I am, that's a great movie. I don't care what you say. And read the cast. It's an incredible cast. They were all young guys. Goose is in it. Is he not?
Robert Carradine was the lead.
Robert Carradine, great actor. Son of John Carradine.
Curtis Armstrong.
That's the brother with the limp wrist who threw the javelin. Yeah. The little gay character.
Donald Gibb.
Never heard of him.
Julia Montgomery.
Never heard of her.
We already talked about Busfield. Anthony Edwards.
Goose. Doctor. What was his name on ER? I can't remember, but you guys know who Anthony Edwards is. He was Goose in Top Gun. Who else?
James Cromwell and Larry B. Scott. And actually, Larry B. Scott, I think, is the brother that.
Yeah, you're right. Larry B. Scott is the brother, and James Cromwell and what's his name? The Connors' dad was the coach. What was his name? I forget.
Give me 1 second.
Who's the Connors guy? He's in Flight. He's the drug dealer in Flight with Denzel. John Goodman. And he was in shape. He plays the football coach. Isn't that crazy?
I need to rewatch these movies.
I know.
It's been a long time.
That's a good picture. It really is.
2 was okay, I think.
Which one was the one where the black fraternity comes in?
That's 2.
Is that 2? 2 was good too.
I think 2 because that's the one where they go on vacation together, and he falls for the girl that works in the hotel.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's when they run into the black fraternity and they win him over with eating the spaghetti and all that kind of stuff.
Right. It's not a bad movie. So Timothy Busfield's worked his whole life. He's a really good actor, and it's just sad. I mean, could we have ever thought that Kevin Spacey was going to go down that route? Not that he was ever convicted, but whatever. Let's go ahead and take a break. We'll come back, check the board. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll talk a little football. Mike Tomlin, as I'm sure 98% of you are aware by now, has stepped down after a long tenure with the Pittsburgh Steelers. How many coaches have the Pittsburgh Steelers had in their long tenure, Mr. Burdick?
Ooh, overall I know it's been 3 since what, 90 something?
69.
69.
Can you name the 4 coaches?
Tomlin, Cowher.
3.
Oh God, I was just talking about Kurtz. No, it's something. It starts with a C.
Chuck.
That's it's Chuck Noll.
Chuck Noll.
Oh, thank you.
Chuck Noll got him the 4 championships. Hated Terry Bradshaw. And Terry Bradshaw hated him.
You know, Tomlin was like 9 wins away from breaking Noll's record.
Really?
Yeah.
1 more season.
That's what I said. I was like, you could have stayed for year 20. Come on now. Broke his and then walked away as the most winning coach in Pittsburgh history, outside of Super Bowls, of course.
But how do you come back when you're standing on the sidelines and they're chanting, "Fire Ralph Bailey"?
Same way Sirianni did it. Just look up at him and say, "Watch me."
Yeah, true that. Quick timeout. We're coming right back. It's the Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1, AM 1180, KRN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180.
Casey.
Day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with...
Are we doing these twice a day now?
I guess, because this is the second time I've done it.
This is multiple times. No, I'll have to ask JR when I see him tomorrow.
Do we have another one in there?
No, we did one early in the 3.
I know.
And then we have one right here, so.
Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's a Tuesday, starting to think about making plans for the weekend. Why not head to F Street and have one of the best steaks you'll ever have in your life? Hey, it's not me talking. You all voted KC Steakhouse best steakhouse in the Bakersfield, Californian poll. And where would you rather be? Her incredible staff will treat you like family. And as I like to stress, Chef Daniel has expanded the menu. As you know, I call it the Ralph Bailey, as many of the patrons do. It's a chicken breast smothered in a spinach and mushroom sauce that is absolutely delicious. So if you go with a big group, not everybody's feeling red meat, but everybody wants to go and just feel the ambiance and the staff and just be at Casey Steakhouse with Jimmy and Bobby providing live music and Vanessa and Lottie providing live music next door in the speakeasy type bar called the Stockyard. Where would you rather be? Make your plans this weekend for KC Steakhouse, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show.
And we're back. Another
Yes, we're
commercial
back.
for California Fruit Depot.
Cal Fruit Depot.
First, it needs to be said that a lot of listeners are complaining that you're not pulling your own weight on these commercials.
Wait, this is a 1-minute podcast. I'll lead with that. Now back to you.
If you're wearing a jacket and you're hearing this commercial, come on out to California Fruit Depot. Come on out and see us.
Not Christmas.
Oranges.
It's a jacket special.
Dates, shakes, smoothies, all those things. They're available.
What
Come
else
on out.
do
You
you
can
have out
ship them to family and friends all over the country.
Shipping available.
Another thing I like to talk about is getting a jingle.
please.
We need a jingle.
We do need a
All
jingle.
musicians, bands. Hey, if you got AI capabilities, send us an AI commercial.
Submit it.
For California Fruit Depot. Has to be radio friendly.
Ooh, California Fruit Depot.
Got your citrus. Got your nuts.
Come get some dates. Come get your dates.
Send your jingle to citrusjinglecontest@gmail.com and come out to California Fruit Depot. Google us for directions, or you can visit us online at calfruitdepot.com.
Hey, I made the commercial.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. That's 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The Charlie Kirk Show, weekdays at 6 p.m. on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's 842 KERN. Anything left on the board?
Yeah, we got a couple.
What do you got?
This person just said the Steelers have had 16 coaches in their history, if you want to go back all the way, but 3 in the modern era.
Yeah, starting with Chuck Noll, I think at 69, and then Bill Cowher took over, and then Mr. Tomlin. We'll talk about that at the bottom of the hour. We'll argue about that and whether or not I didn't know that he still had 2 years on his contract. Must be nice. People sit around and just collect a check, and maybe even get another check from Fox or ESPN.
I am curious about that, if he gets paid out for the rest of the years or not. But they are fully guaranteed contracts, so I can only assume he does.
He absolutely does. He absolutely does.
No, I'm sorry. I meant more of like he gets paid yearly in an annual sense, or maybe like all as a lump sum. You know what I mean?
I think it is on a pay period. I don't think they give it to you in a lump sum. And would you even want it in a lump sum?
True.
You'd have to pay more taxes on it as a lump sum.
Very true.
Yeah. What else you got?
I wouldn't put it past any of those kids to make stuff up, because kids, they love ruining lives. They really do. I don't know what kids
I
you're
was gonna
around.
say, Jesus, really?
Someone's
I don't
not a
know too
fan.
many children, maybe teenagers, but I don't know too many children that make up stuff to ruin people's lives. I don't think 10 and 11-year-olds are that sophisticated that they're aware that they can just say you really think that a 10-year-old would scheme with another 11-year-old and, hey, let's ruin Mr. Busfield's life, claim that he touched us? That doesn't fly with me. I don't buy that at all. Don't buy that at all. What else you got?
It's like the sheriff said, Zach Scrivener was never booked, and that's enough for me not to vote for her.
Meaning his aunt.
Yeah, I would assume.
Yeah. You know, Teresa has a strong point. Technically speaking, Cynthia Zimmer has done nothing wrong. I just think that, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why I don't feel comfortable with the whole situation. And I just think that, you know, just like Mike Tomlin. Is he a good coach? Of course, he's a great coach. Nobody argues that. Was Cynthia Zimmer a great DA? Yes. I think very few people would argue that. But I think there comes a time when it's a time. I don't know how else to explain it. And I don't know if, I don't think I'm expressing my personal feelings. I'm not saying that she should not be reelected. And I never even thought about, until Teresa presented the idea, what would I do as a voter? Would I vote for Cynthia Zimmer? I think in the long run I would. But as somebody who is paid to analyze situations in our community, do I believe that the majority of our community is going to support her again? No. I don't think that's even close. Teresa Goldner is a woman with a golden heart and sees the best in everyone. And I think she thinks that we have an engaged, intelligent community that is deeply involved in this and sees that there's no connection between this situation, Scrivener getting a pass, and Kern County. I don't believe that. I think the majority of people still think that somehow the DA's office helped smooth the way for Mr. Scrivener. I think a majority of the community still believes, despite what the sheriff has said in exonerating the DA, that the phone call that she made was inappropriate. The sheriff came on here and said categorically there was nothing wrong with that phone call. He even went on and said that he receives many phone calls from many folks who have his phone. Like I said, in some respects, we truly are Mayberry. You know, I lived in Los Angeles for 30 years. I was a reporter in Los Angeles for about 8 years, and I never met the sheriff. I never met Daryl Gates, the LAPD chief. You know, it's a big city. But who doesn't know Donnie Youngblood? You know what I'm saying? And so it's a different community. It's a different relationship. And I just don't think that the average voter is that well engaged where they can divorce themselves from her relationship with a truly bad man. And it's the old phrase, guilt by association. And I think, as I said to Teresa, I think it could even impact Cynthia Scrivener unfairly, simply because she has the name Scrivener. And another question that a lot of people have posed to me personally is, and again, I always answer with, well, she's a working woman. She's on the KCCD board. She's got a great job. But the question that I often get is, if he was so mentally impaired, and Christina spoke of him almost dying from alcoholism years prior, why were her 4 children in his care? But I do know Kathy Scrivener's never getting reelected, never. And she's up for grabs in this year. We head into the final hour of the broadcast. We'll clear the board, talk a little football. Second round of the playoffs, or really the first round. This is wild card. The first round of the playoffs are set. We'll talk about that when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump was meeting with his national security team to discuss the Iranian government's violent crackdown on protesters as he looks to get a better understanding of the number of Iranian citizens who've been killed and arrested in more than 2 weeks of unrest throughout the country. Trump believes that the killing, human rights monitors say the death toll has exceeded 2,000, is significant, and that his administration would act accordingly. The Supreme Court seems likely to uphold state laws barring boys and men from playing on girls' and women's school athletic teams. Lower courts ruled for the transgender athletes in Idaho and West Virginia who challenged the state bans. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 398 points. The Nasdaq dropped 24. The S&P lower by 13. More details at SRNnews.com.
News Talk 96.1
Yes,
and
ma'am.
AM 1180 KERN.
All right, I'll see you at 6 o'clock.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. Traffic on Highway 58 near the Mount Vernon Avenue off-ramp was shut down for hours this morning because of a truck fire where a load of ice cream and the truck both burned, which the Highway Patrol says necessitated the closure. Longtime Kern County Public Defender Benjamin Naquanta has died, according to his co-workers at the Public Defender's Office. They did not say how he died. He had been with that office since 2002. People protesting outside the courthouse Monday told KGET-TV that they believe Maya Hernandez should have to face another jury on a murder charge in the death of her 1-year-old son Emilio after her mistrial last year. A decision may be reached on that in the next couple of weeks. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with the news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180. KERN.
Attention, Medicare beneficiaries in Kern County. If you're eligible for Medicare and looking for a doctor who listens and cares about you with minimal wait times and prompt referral authorizations, it's time you learned about QualCare IPA. You know, for years, I've been telling you QualCare IPA contracts with most Medicare Advantage health plans and provides you with access to a large network of outstanding doctors and quality hospitals right here in Kern County. Medicare Advantage health plans go beyond original Medicare benefits coverage, and understanding these coverage differences may be confusing. Call us today at 661-554-4544 and let us help you understand your options for 2026. Call today, 661-554-4544. That's 661-554-4544. Get the information you need and the coverage you deserve. For accommodations of persons with special needs and meetings, call 661-554-4544. TTY
Look up a
711.
Coming up
Kiefer
on the
Sutherland
Wednesday edition of the
movie
Clay
with
Travis and
Bridget
Buck Sexton
Fonda.
Show. There's an investigation going on of Fed Chair Jerome Powell. What does this mean? Also, what about Trump when he talks about the possibility of lowering the credit card interest rate to 10%?
What was it called?
Affordability is the name of the game, my friend.
Breakup.
And who was the third star? The guy from Wings was the third star in that.
Hart Boschner?
What is it?
Hart Boschner?
No.
Give me a sec, hold on.
Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
842-537-6842 KER. We've got some breaking news out of Fox. Kiefer Sutherland arrested following an alleged altercation with a rideshare driver. According to arrest records obtained by Fox News Digital, the 59-year-old actor, well, I didn't know I was older than Kiefer Sutherland. I thought he was about my age. I mean, he is about my age, but I'm a little bit older. The 59-year-old actor was arrested Monday, January 12th, yesterday, and was released later that day on $50,000 bond, scheduled to appear at the Los Angeles Superior Court for his first court date related to the incident on Monday, February 2. The Los Angeles Police Department told Fox News that officers responded to a call about an assault involving a rideshare driver around 12:15 a.m. near Sunset Boulevard and Fairfax Avenue. I know exactly where that is. And you know what Pop said? What Pop say, Chris? Your Pop probably said the same thing.
White people?
No. Yes, your Pop said white people.
That's what I was saying. Like, what?
Nothing good happens after midnight.
That's true. That's very true.
Nothing good happens after
My
midnight.
dad always told me 2, but yeah.
2?
Yeah, nothing better.
Your Pop gave you 2? Wow. Growing up at your place, 2 a.m.? Woo!
Well, that wasn't my curfew. That was just the same.
Just, no. In fact, I think my dad was like 11. Like,
Yeah, my curfew was probably like 11, 12.
Oh, no, my curfew, I had to be home when I was driving 16, 17, 18, I think my curfew was like 1 a.m. Because back in those days, we had like 11, 11:30 and midnight movies. You know, I told you I saw Young Frankenstein in 9th grade at the first midnight movie I'd ever been to, and I just felt like such an adult. And you say, well, Ralph, how'd you pull that off with Ralph and Harriet? Spent the night at John Tempero's house. I wasn't going home at 2 in the morning. We went and saw it, Young Frankenstein in Westwood, and then walked around the corner because the Fat Burger would stay open 24 hours, had a burger and went home. I felt like such an adult. The only thing is, at 9th grade, totally didn't get Young Frankenstein. I lied to my friends as we walked out because we were George Gordon and David Abrams. David Abrams lived on my block and used to give me a ride home for basketball practice. But everybody loved it. Tempero loved it. They loved it. And I was like, that's the dumbest movie I've ever seen. Oh, I loved it. I loved it. And it wasn't until I was like in college until I finally, another movie, and just happens to be another Mel Brooks movie that I didn't get.
Blazing Saddles?
I didn't get Blazing Saddles at all when I first
Honestly,
saw it.
I didn't either until
I
I got
really
older.
didn't. Yeah, I really
You don't
didn't.
get the innuendos and all the jokes that
Yeah.
are like underlining. You really don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I really didn't. Back to Mr. Sutherland. The investigation determined that the suspect, later identified as Kiefer Sutherland, entered a rideshare vehicle, physically assaulted the driver, and made criminal threats toward the victim, according to LAPD officials. Officers arrested Sutherland at the scene for criminal threats. Why didn't he leave? He got in a fight with an Uber driver and just stayed at the scene? You know how long it would take a cop to come to Sunset in Fairfax? Maybe he thought he was in the right.
He would have to. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking in my head. Like, there's
Why would
no
you not
way.
be like, I'm out of here?
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
that's weird. According to authorities, the driver, quote, did not sustain any injuries requiring medical treatment at the scene, and the investigation is still going on. This is not the first time the actor has been in trouble with the law. In May 2009, the actor was charged with third-degree assault, my bigger pardon, after he has headbutted designer Jack McCullough after the Met Gala. This guy is let me shut up. Because it's Scott's boy. He and Kiefer are like boys, apparently. I don't know how that occurred, but the assault charge was ultimately dropped after Sutherland and McCullough released a joint statement saying they had settled their differences. I'm sorry about what happened that night and sincerely regret that Mr. McCullough was injured, Sutherland said in a statement at the time. I appreciate Mr. Sutherland's statement and wish him well, McCullough said in a statement. I met Kiefer Sutherland before Scott did. He was doing a movie that Chris tells me was called Breakup. It was shot out in Taft, and I was doing TV, and it was with Bridget Fonda. And did you see who the other guy? Did you find out who the other guy is? The guy from Wings, not Hayden.
Mike Haggerty?
No.
I got Hart, Boschner, Steven Weber.
Steven Weber. He was the other brother. You ever watch Wings? You're too
I
young.
haven't seen Wings.
Yeah, you're
no.
too young for that. But Steven Weber used to be on Wings. In fact, Steven Weber's greatest performance is he played JFK in a docudrama, which was really, really good. But they were shooting it out in Taft, and a guy named Ryan, who left and went to Ohio, redhead, cool guy, who was also a DJ. He DJ'd at the Doubletree Hotel for old folks who used to hang out there on Fridays and Saturday nights like I used to. But somehow, so we go out to shoot this movie. It was a crazy movie, shot out in Taft, and somehow Ryan becomes pals with Sutherland, and they were staying at the Doubletree and invited us to come hang out with them, and we went and played pool with them till closing time, and I'll never forget he was shooting Jack Daniels the whole night, and I think he beat us. He and his buddy, I don't know who, it wasn't Weber. Or maybe it was Weber. I think it was Weber, actually. It was him and Weber versus me and Ryan in pool. And we lost like 4 out of 7. And then he wouldn't take our money. And he was shooting Jack all night. Really nice guy. But I've always thought he's kind of a knucklehead. And I would love to talk to Scott. We should call Scott right now. Hey, your boy's in jail. How did they become friends? Do you know?
I honestly couldn't tell you the story. I have no idea. I'm sure it was at some concert or in some passing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hanging out with some musicians. He met Kiefer on the side and they just became good friends. I could not tell you, though.
He can't hold a candle to his dad.
Oh,
I think Donald Sutherland is one of the greatest actors we've ever had. I mean, there's so many incredible roles. People forget Donald Sutherland played Hawkeye in the original MASH movie. I'm telling you, one of the great World War II movies that a lot of you have not seen that I think is one of the best. It's called Eye of the Needle, starring Donald Sutherland. Sutherland is a double agent. He's a German who was assigned during peace, during the 20s and the 30s, before the Third Reich came about. He went to school in England and spoke both English and German, and they made him a double agent. And his assignment is to go and find out where D-Day is. And the Germans, as we now know, chronicled in history, believed it was in Calais in France as opposed to Normandy. And so they send Donald Sutherland to Calais to find out if, in fact, that's where the invasion is going to jump off. And as some of you probably know, Dwight Eisenhower set up wooden planes to make it look like a massive armada of planes. And Sutherland goes to the site and finds out that they're fake. So he knows that the invasion is at Normandy. And the rest of the movie is him trying to get back to Germany and explain what the deal is. And I don't have to tell you, obviously he didn't make it, but as they say in Hollywood, that's where the hijinks begins. He falls in love with an English girl, and then she discovers that he's a Nazi, but has to pretend that she doesn't know. And it's a really intricate. Her husband is a paraplegic who was wounded in the war, who first discovers that he's a Nazi, but Sutherland kills him. And then the wife has to pretend that she doesn't know. And I won't ruin it. It's called Eye of the Needle. It's a great picture. It really is. But our condolences to Mr. Sutherland, age 59, getting in fights with people in Uber deals.
He must have thought he was in the right. There's no way he sticks around after
That's what I'm
beating
saying.
someone up. Like there's no way. And honestly, like they said, there's no major injuries to the guy. So
it seems odd to me. I mean, again, like I always say, at the beginning of an investigation, you never really know what's going on. Maybe they were involved in an accident,
right?
And Sutherland was pissed that you damn near killed me, and you damn near killed me. Punched him in the back of the head, and now they got to hang around for the accident. And the cops come, and Sutherland doesn't think it's that big a deal, and the guy says, "Well, he punched me." What? That's assault. Turn around, Mr. Sutherland. That's my basic.
Yeah,
guess.
that's kind of what I'm thinking too.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and take our final break of the night. It's for dinner on this Taco Tuesday.
Chicken.
I had chicken last night. I'm doing fish, salmon, and yellowtail. Bento sushi.
It's a Tuesday.
It is a Tuesday. Never on a Monday. Never on a Monday. Why don't you eat sushi on a Monday? That's Friday's fish. That's Friday's fish, I'm telling you. Remember I made allusions to Nate Wigg earlier in the broadcast? Sports former sales guy that I worked with at Buckley Radio. And I think Denise and Nate worked here. I know Denise worked here. But his wife, Denise, who I have a huge crush on and always had. Sorry, Nate. Not that he didn't know. But she is like a sushi expert. And she's the one that told me that. Never eat sushi on a Monday because that is Friday's fish. That's what I've been told. So I waited until Tuesday. A little sushi. Little yellowtail, salmon, and unagi, a little cooked eel that I love so much. Quick time out. Keep it locked. You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Tomorrow's a Wednesday. Our good friend Howard Marcus will join us. And thus far, that's all we've got booked thus far. Do we not, Miss Burdick? Nothing else?
Nope.
I'm sure something will pop up before 3:05 on The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We stream live at kernradio.com. And the Kern Radio studios are powered by Adaptive Networks. For all your IT needs, call Adaptive Networks at 661-241-0638 or online at adaptive-net.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I was always tired, sleepy, and had no energy.
I had relentless, debilitating headaches.
Valley fever.
I always lose Reggie's head. Poor Reggie, headless Reggie Smith. We do anything remotely funny today? I want to start doing funny deals. Not really.
Not really, no. Everything was pretty straight for, no, yeah, no.
All right, I'm going to do Title IX. You ready? 3, 2. Title IX was one of the greatest things established in 1972 that ever happened to women's sports. And the whole point of it was ensuring competitive fairness. And it is insane to me that we are still trying to find what a man and a woman is, but there are safety issues and locker room issues. This is going to be a slam dunk Supreme Court decision. Three, two, it's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Wednesday TRBS. We'll have more on the death of a dentist and his wife in Ohio, allegedly killed by her ex-husband from 8 years ago. And of course, our former federal agent, Howard Marcus. All that, me at 3. It's TRBS. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. I'll see you at 3. Brr.
The answers, Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298. Are you craving a mouth-watering sandwich that's packed with flavor? Then look no further than Caesar's Deli, where they craft some of the best sandwiches in town. Sink your teeth into our signature classic, Caesar's Special, featuring 2 kinds of salami, premium ham, and the irresistible taste of Nona's secret meat sauce. It's a sandwich experience that you won't forget. But that's not the only sandwich they offer. No. Satisfy your craving with a savory smoked turkey sandwich, or indulge yourself in the loaded pastrami, or for the adventurous eater, they offer pickled tongue. And here's the best part. Caesar's Deli has incredible lunch specials designed to fill you up without emptying your wallet. Plus, did you know that Caesar's Deli has a full-service deli offering a variety of over 60 meats and cheeses? It's a sandwich lover's paradise, and that's why Caesar's Deli has been a local favorite and proudly serving Bakersfield since 1971. Visit Caesar's Deli today and taste the difference for yourself. Located on the corner of Brim Hall and Callaway behind the beautiful water fountain.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
See you, Ray. I'm on my way, believe it. Little pit stop at Bento Sushi. Tell him, Ray. Yes, I do. No. Vodka, my kitties. Mike area, probably. Let's go get stoned. You know, none of my near friends smoke weed. I couldn't get Mike Arian a joint if his life depended on it.
He's a former NFL player, so that makes sense.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're way against it.
Chris Zucchini doesn't smoke weed.
Huh?
He sucks on those nicotine patches, which I'm proud of him, actually. He got stopped dipping, but he does the nicotine thing when we play golf. But none of my close friends, Gino Valpredo doesn't smoke weed. Who else do I hang out with? Bowers doesn't smoke weed. Romeo Agbalog doesn't smoke weed. Why'd you crunch your face up at Bowers? Because he's a brother?
No, that's not what I said.
Who else do I hang out with? J.R. Flores? Let's move on, shall we? In fact, doggone it, I meant to talk to him today about our guy. God dang it. We got a guy who loves us. I won't go any further. You know who wants to talk about marijuana?
Who's that now?
Cassie Biddle.
Really?
She's got a bug up her butt. She wants it legalized in Kern County.
Girl, let's do it.
I know. And I was like, she was like, I said, I used to never speak about my marijuana indulgence. I made allusions to it. I used to tell the 100 bong hit story, but that was 40 years ago in college, so I didn't mind.
Yeah, it's
telling
not
it.
really you smoking it either.
But I don't know. It was, I think when the dispensaries started coming around, and then I began to find out that a lot of my older friends were on mushrooms, which I don't do. I was like, you know what? I don't give a damn. You get like when you get into your late 50s, people's I've been in this community for 33 years. If you don't know who I am by now, the judgment and who I am, I just, as I like to say, my mama loves me. You know what I'm saying? So when people hate me and they think that I'm a degenerate because I smoke weed and want to relive my days when I drank too much, at 63, I just don't give a damn. I just don't. But for Cassie, this is a big move for her. It's a bold move for her, and that's why I love that young lady, because she is so committed to what she believes is either right or wrong. And she, I just said, you're going to have clients that aren't going to agree with you. And she said, well, what am I worth if I don't stand up for what I believe? And I was like, right on, girl. I'll support you. I will support you. Should I tell my 100 bong hit story? I haven't told that in a long time. It's a great story.
It is a good story.
It's a great story. And the fact that it's so 1,000% true. And I keep saying I'm going to get Skelly on. I don't know if he'd want to talk about it. I can't believe I just said who it was. I really do that. But I had a buddy in high school twice do 100 bong hits in a sitting, in about a 2.5 hour sitting. And my junior year at Morehouse College, I lived with a independently affluent college student whose dad had passed away and had left him in charge of the family business, the late Jake Daniel Gunn, who unfortunately liked a little cocaine and passed away of a heart attack at the age of 47. He was a tremendous individual. I loved Danny Gunn. I've told you one of my favorite Danny Gunn story. This is in the 80s when, I'll be honest, everybody drank and drove. There was no mad. There was no, you didn't really get pulled over unless you did really something stupid. And Danny's driving home as we had girls in the back seat, and he's driving crazy in his little brown Subaru. And I'm like, Danny, you got to slow down and just let me drive. And he's scaring the crap out of me. And I'm like, Danny, let me drive. And he goes, all right. And he pulls over, and I get out of the car, and he takes off. And comes back like 10 minutes later, where I'm like, all right, he'll be back. He'll be back. And then after about 5 minutes, I'm like, that he left me. He's on his way to the pad. And then 5 minutes later, he comes rolling up, and everybody's in the car just laughing. But he got tired of me telling the story about this kid who was matriculating at the University of Colorado at Boulder doing 100 bong hits. He would just say, that's just crap. That's a lie. Nobody can do 100 bong hits in 2 hours. I said, I'm telling you, Danny, how could I make something like that up? Again, Danny was affluent independently. In fact, as always said, his stockbroker was my alarm clock. She called literally 7 days a week at 6 a.m. Got a little annoying on Sunday mornings, but nevertheless. And so Danny said, in those days, Denver to Atlanta round trip was about $220. So Danny said, I'll fly him out here. I was like, really? Calls my friend, and he says, I'll come down there. Y'all gonna put me up and pay for my ticket? Absolutely. I'll come down there and put on a show. And so I'm in a restaurant near Morehouse College, and I hear these two kids talking about, did you hear that these guys are bringing some white kid down from Canada, and he's going to do like 200 bong hits in an hour? And I'm just like, what the hell? I mean, it's spread around college, and you know how it gets around. And, it's Sasquatch is coming down here to do heroin. The story gets so finally we get him down here, and we're in our little apartment downtown Atlanta. Nothing but black guys, about 15, 16, 17 brothers, and this one white kid sitting on the thing doing bong hits. And we had a scheme that I stole from Cool Hand Luke. I said, "This is what we're gonna do: get to about 50 and pretend like you can't do it anymore, and we'll double all the bets." So he gets to around 50 and he starts coughing like he can't continue. And everybody said, "Oh, it's over, it's over." And I'm like, "Really? It's over? All right, let's double the bet. There's 20, I got you for 50. You got 40, I got you for 80. And he's pulling on my shirt. And I'm like, "Sam, relax. I'm trying. Okay, I got you 50. Okay, I got you too." And he pulls me aside and drags me to the bathroom. He says, "I'm serious. I can't go any further." And I'm like, "Sam, dude, I don't have the money to cover this. You've got to go back in there and do it." He comes back in and somehow he gets to about 90 and it got a little chippy where I had to tell Danny, "Get these, this is my boy. I don't, knock it off." They were calling him names. But then once he got around 90, this mutual respect for the kid, where now these guys who are about to lose money were like rooting for him because they'd never seen anything like it, where it would be stone silent and all you could hear was the bubbling. Brrr. And then once you heard the bong clear, the guys would be like, 91! Can you believe this? He wins it. The place goes nuts. These guys don't even care that they've lost their money. They've seen something they ain't never seen before in their life. And it finally calms down after about 10 or 15 minutes and people start to leave. And my friend is like this on the couch. And I'm like, "Oh my God, I've killed my friend." And just then, my girlfriend, Rhonda Killens at the time, shows up. And he can't even speak. And he's like, "What can we do? What can we do?" And he's like, "I got a McDonald's. I got a McDonald's." And somehow Rhonda was the horse whisperer. She's saying, "He's saying he wants to go to McDonald's." And he's like, "Yeah." So we take him to McDonald's. We get Rhonda in the car because she's the interpreter. It's like, "Sam, what do you want?" And like, "Four caramel ice cream. Four caramel ice cream." We're like, "Rhonda, what's he saying?" I think he's saying 4 caramel ice creams. We got him 4 caramel ice creams. He drank them down like they were a Coca-Cola, passed out. We had to rebook his flight. He went home that Sunday, and it's the legend of Morehouse College. He will live forever. That's going to do it. I want to thank Teresa Goldner and Nick Rago. Tomorrow, Howard Marcus. In the meantime, Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. Wrap to you tomorrow.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump was meeting with his national...
Let's
real quick
go get stoned. I love that song.
I need to do one thing for me real quick.
What do you got? Oh, excuse me. Gotta have my mic on. Beg your pardon.
The first part of that Sangera yesterday.
I fucked it up?
A little bit, yeah. Do you still have the paper?
I think so.
You said you said on 2025 instead of in 2025.
It says you put off on. That's why I asked you. Remember I asked you about that? I said it didn't make sense. And then I said, okay, I kind of get it. That you put off in. Somebody told you that or you just said that?
No, I was listening to it and it just sounds awkward.
That's what I said. Remember yesterday when I said that?
Yeah.
I read it. And then I said, okay, I kind of get it. But it says on 2025. But I'll read it again.
Yeah, let's just do just that one part up until the end of that first paragraph, and then we should be good.
All right, you ready? 3, 2. It's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Sangera Subaru. It's a new year, so why not get into the new Subaru that you put off in 2025?
Barring men from playing on women's school athletic teams. Lower courts ruled for the transgender athletes in Idaho and West Virginia who challenged the state bans, but the Supreme Court gave no indication that it would follow suit. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 398 points. More at townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-524-4948. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-524-4948. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-524-4948. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-524-4948 or biglou.com.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What becomes of the melted ice cream? I'm Chris Davis. You might also say what becomes of the burned ice cream truck, because that's how the ice cream got melted. That all started about 2:15 this morning on Highway 58 near the Mount Vernon Avenue off-ramp. That's where the Highway Patrol says they responded to the truck fire and eventually had to close down the highway for hours to deal with the mess. It was not clear from the Highway Patrol if anyone was hurt. Your sewer rates may be going up. The city says that is to help replace and improve what they say is an aging infrastructure, but they don't intend to go forward with it without input from the people. So you are invited to bring your concerns to a meeting that'll be tonight at 6 at the Southwest Library on Ming Avenue. Another meeting is scheduled for tomorrow night at Ridgeview High School, and another is Thursday night at South High School. You may not readily know the name Benjamin Naquanta, but for many people who have been in trouble with the law, he had been an important part of their defense. The longtime public defender has died, say his colleagues at the Public